Chapter 1802. Old Thing, you're finally willing to come out. Lin Chen sneered. He was sure that this old thing would be fearless and feel that he couldn't kill Lin Can. Unfortunately, Mr. Lin, was best at playing cards that didn't follow the rules. He formed hand seals with both hands, and a vast essence soul burning dragon rose above his head. 8 dragons danced wildly, and the power of the essence soul burned the world. Chi! Boom! The 8 burning dragons roared at the sky, bursting forth with the essence soul dragon sound that burned all spirit power, and it penetrated space and time. Lin Chun, Tuo Sheng, was penetrated by the essence soul dragon sound, and he cursed sharply. I have no enmity with you. Why do you want to kill me? Waves of essence soul dragon sound tore through space and time, causing space and time to tremble and distort. The 5 suppressed dark shadow monarchs were completely dumbfounded when they saw the human essence soul emerging from their new king's body. What is that? It's actually a human essence soul? Why would the new king be entangled by such a strange thing? The 5 dark shadow monarchs were bewildered. Under the waves of essence soul dragon sound, Tuo Sheng's last wisp of essence soul was completely destroyed. In the end, the formidable Tuo Sheng completely disappeared from the world. Lin Chun didn't have time to care about the elemental light balls around him. He looked down at the space below and the shattered dragon body. System: remove the target's destructive destruction and destructive explosion talent effects. With a single thought, Lin Chun activated the system and removed the effect of extinction. He had fought the battle just now with killing intent. Otherwise, he wouldn't even have the chance to gamble. Undying Creation. Lin Chun immediately activated the bloodline ability, Undying Creation, that he had prepared in advance. The dragon-like yin-yang dragon aura emitted a black and white glow as it seeped out of the extreme hell heavenly prison and nourished the dragon body. The yin-yang dragon aura enveloped every inch of its flesh and blood, fusing wildly and healing its injuries. Lin Chun pierced his palm and fused a large amount of yin-yang dragon aura with the yin-yang dragon aura and sent it over. Within the remains of the dragon's body, he had stabilized his last thread of life, but his life was still hanging by a thread. Lin Chun was too ruthless this time. Lin Can was smashed to pieces. But if he didn't do that, he wouldn't be able to force Tuo Sheng out. Tuo Sheng's method of possession was different from that of ordinary experts. He had fused his primordial spirit into his bloodline. Then he refined the bloodline with his essence soul consciousness into the 15th stage ultimate shadow egg. In other words, Tuo Sheng's bloodline had been a part of Lin Can from the very beginning. Using ordinary methods to force Tuo Sheng's primordial spirit out was simply impossible. Lin Chun had no choice but to take the risk and shatter Tuo Sheng's body. Then he used the searing spirit flying dagger to attack Tuo Sheng's essence and blood, burning Tuo Sheng's essence and driving it out of Tuo Sheng's body. This was a risky move. The slightest carelessness would consign Lin Can to eternal damnation. Lin Chun was drenched in cold sweat. He was terrifyingly focused. He channeled a large amount of yin-yang dragon energy into his hands, stabilizing every inch of Tuo Sheng's body and healing it. Lin Chen's immortal godhead fragment could only be used on its host. It couldn't be used on other living beings. At the beginning of version 8.0, it was stated that the godhead was a power exclusive to the host. Even if it could transfer attributes, it couldn't be used on other living beings. The only thing Lin Chun could rely on was the yin-yang divine dragon's bloodline. They saw that Lin Chun didn't even care about them and was focused on healing the new Shadow King's body. The 5 Dark Shadow Monarchs were experienced enough to understand what was going on. They had a rough idea of what was going on. Lin Chun of the human race seems to be saving our new Shadow King. Is he fighting the new Shadow King to force out the remnant consciousness of that human's primordial spirit? It's possible. I've heard from the elders that the new Shadow King and Lin Chun of the human race are as close as brothers. Back then, It was Lin Chun of the human race who risked his life to enter the battlefield of the 9 clans and bring the new Shadow King to our ancestors. All the mysteries were solved. So that was it. Otherwise, if Lin Chun really wanted to be enemies with them, why did he have to suppress them now? Wouldn't it be better to just kill them? Lin Chun was drenched in cold sweat. Oh no, the injuries are too serious. Even if this little guy has the dragon bloodline and can absorb the essence blood of the Yin-Yang divine dragon to the maximum, now that his vitality is gone, the amount of energy he can absorb is too little. It's not enough to fully heal his injuries and reconnect his injured body. If this went on, Lin wouldn't even be able to keep his life. At this time, one of the sovereigns of shadows immediately said, "Human, if you want to save our new Shadow King, you should take him to the tomb of the previous Shadow Kings. The Shadow King pool of our race is there. It accumulates the life bloodline of past Shadow Kings and can reconstruct the body of any Shadow King." Lin Chen's eyes lit up. He ordered his doppelganger to release the Sovereign of Shadows and said in a low voice, "Where is the tomb of the Shadow King?" The Sovereign of Shadows led the way. Lin Chen opened the extreme hell heavenly prison and followed him to an ancient canyon with Lin Can's remains. Although this could be a trap, Lin Chen didn't care anymore. Saving Lin Chen was the most important thing right now. Inside the canyon, there were 15 crystal jade pools. What was strange was that the crystal jade pools were filled with layers of shadows. Inky black smoke swirled around the void, as if there was an eternal abyss inside the jade pools. The crystal jade pools were connected to a black pool in the center. The overflowing energy distorted time and space. Even someone as powerful as Lin Chun could only sense one concept: endless. This was the accumulation and foundation of past Shadow Kings, and their will after their death. All of it was gathered here. The Sovereign of Shadows said seriously, "Please put the new king's body in. With his cultivation, he should be able to survive the baptism of the past king." Lin Chen's eyes were cold as he stared directly at the dark shadow monarch. He said in a cold voice, "I will trust you this once. If you dare to lie to me and cause any harm to my brother, I will bury the entire dark shadow race with him." The cold voice was as sharp as a blade. It passed through the Sovereign of Shadows' heart. He couldn't help but tremble. This human valued the life of their new king so much. However, there was also a pleasant surprise in addition to shock. If the new king could be revived and befriended this human, with his current strength and potential, he would be the strongest ally of the Dark Shadow race. There was no other. The Sovereign of Shadows nodded and replied in the obscure human language, "I swear on my life that there is nothing false about what I said." Lin Chen took a deep breath. He raised a hand and put all the dragon remains into the largest black pool. ZZZT, ZZZT, ZZZT. A lot of black smoke rose from the black pool. In the next moment, light shone brightly as if a miracle had happened. Lin Can's broken body started to heal rapidly. His flesh and blood were regenerated and reformed. What surprised Lin Chen even more was that he could continue to use his undying creation divine art. Lin Chen sighed. "Little fellow, this is a miracle that only you can do. You can absorb the bloodline divine art of the dragon race and refine the life energy of a king of the dark shadow race." His life was saved, but it was unknown whether Lin Can's future potential would be greatly affected. After all, this was Nirvana rebirth. It could be said that Lin Can had fallen once and had been beaten to a pulp by Lin Chun. The entire process of Lin Chun defeating Buddha Saint and saving Lin Can was recorded by a screen that was spread open by a shadow. Two distorted shadows floated in the void. One of them laughed and sent a sound transmission. "Is this why you didn't go out and help, old man?" The other shadow said indifferently, "First of all, there is something wrong with the new king. This old man noticed it a long time ago. However, this problem is not something we can change. Second, this old man wants to see what this human is capable of. Then, your evaluation of him, unprecedented since ancient times." Chapter 1803. Every generation of the Dark Shadow Kings ruled over the divine river galaxy. Every one of them could rival a true god of the human race. Unfortunately, the Dark Shadow race has never been able to become a top race due to their lack of cultivation methods and reproduction. Lin Shen couldn't help but sigh at the power of the black pool as he watched Lin can heal himself quickly. Big brother, what's wrong with me? It was at this moment Lin Can's fragmented consciousness emerged from the black pool. When Lin Shen heard Lin Can's voice, the huge rock in his heart was finally lifted. I beat you up, but don't worry. I'll take responsibility for it. I'm still healing you right now. You'll be able to come out in a while. Lin Shen shrugged and said happily, from now on, Tuo Sheng's threat is gone. You'll have no more burdens. You could be the Dark Shadow King without worry. Tuo Sheng, Lin Can murmured. Only when the pieces of his body began to fuse back together and merge back in his own body did he remember everything. He had been possessed. He remembered everything about the time Tuo Sheng had taken over his body. Lin Can said hurriedly, Big brother. Lin Shen raised a hand. There's no point in saying more. You know what's good for you. It was at this moment the Dark Shadow Monarch said in a low voice, Friend Lin Shen, I'm afraid that the new king's potential and strength will be affected. Even if the new king is reborn, he might not be able to convince the masses. Lin Shen raised an eyebrow and said mockingly, Convince the masses? Who dares to object to my brother being the Dark Shadow King? Tell him to come find me. But for those who have opinions, Lin Shen stretched out his fist and pretended to be serious as he said, My fist is bigger than your opinions. If anyone objects, the Dark Horse organization will come find Lin Shen. The Dark Shadow Monarch was speechless. This guy was simply tyrannical to the point of no bounds. He used to be a yes man and had a scheme against the Dark Shadow race. Now, he was going to strike hard. He would beat anyone who objected until they did. After confirming that Lin Can was fine, Lin Shen left the tomb of the Shadow King. When he stepped into the air and flew towards the outside world, the battle outside had already stopped. A large number of innate dark shadows were guarding against Zi Qianshou and Xiaoling. Lin Shen said to the two of them, It's done. We should go. Zi Qianshou was stunned. Done? My lord, the new Shadow King. Lin Chen nodded. He became obedient after a beating. Xiaoling, the doppelganger, collected all the attribute light balls dropped during the battle and returned to Lin Chen's side. Everyone, these humans are friends, not enemies. They are only here to help the new Dark Shadow King overcome the difficulties. Now that the new Dark Shadow King has entered a state of seclusion, please wait for orders in our clan. The 4 Dark Shadow Monarchs showed up and gave orders to all Dark Shadow clansmen. The innate Dark Shadows all looked at each other. The new Dark Shadow King was going to attack the auspicious Beast Plane. Why was he going into seclusion now? Lin Shen transmitted his voice to the Dark Shadow Monarchs. No matter what happens, my brother Lin Can is still the new Dark Shadow King. If you dare to do anything out of line to him while he is recuperating, you will be punished. You know what will happen to you? Lin Shen gave them a meaningful smile, as if telling the Dark Shadow Monarchs, Don't think that you can escape from Lin Chen's palm just because you are from the Dark Shadow race. The Dark Shadow Monarchs nodded like chickens pecking at rice. They had seen Lin Chen's methods with their own eyes. Other than the few First Elders who could contend against him, no one else could be his opponent. Lin Chen waved his hand and took Zi Qianshou and Xiaoling away. The Dragon King flew into the sky and carried Lin Shen. The Dark Shadow Monarchs watched Lin Shen leave and finally heaved a sigh of relief. This human is truly a pervert. His doppelganger is also so powerful. It is equivalent to the strength of his original body. He alone is a huge threat to our Dark Shadow race. However, the reverse is also true. He can do this for our new king. In a way, if he is an ally, he will be the most powerful ally of our Dark Shadow race. The Dark Shadow Monarchs looked at each other and made plans in their hearts. Lin Shen didn't discover anything before he left the tomb of the Dark Shadow King. The energy surging in the black pool underwent a drastic change. Lin Can's body was reconstructed and ushered in a shocking change. The Dragon King galloped under the starry sky and destroyed countless meteors along the way. He flew all the way to the Divine River Galaxy and returned to the human race's sacred boundary. Lin Chen didn't have time to wait for Lin Can to repair his body before leaving. The cold wind swept past his cheeks and reflected Lin Chen's eyes that were full of fighting spirit. They were filled with urgency. The demon-human army will probably arrive at the sacred boundary soon. A great catastrophe is inevitable. Lin Chen looked down at the supreme-grade odd crystal in his hand and muttered to himself. Whether it is the God-Slayer talent or the God-defying talent, the combat power that I have might not be enough. Because this time, Lin Chen's opponents and enemies were far more than any previous time. The entire demon-human race, the demon race, and even the divine dragon of the dragon race might not be his allies and could not rule out the possibility of becoming his enemies. It wasn't enough to just have a trump card to contend with a god. It had to surpass the combat power of an ordinary true god. Lin Chen exhaled, and the turbidity and confusion in his eyes gradually disappeared. Sure enough, the only answer to this war, the decisive trump card, is the complete war god set. If he could provoke the hostility of the entire race like last time, the God-Slayer talent would allow Lin Chen to temporarily have the combat power of an individual true god. But a true god couldn't turn the tide in this situation. I'm afraid Yao won't listen to anything now. The only solution is for me to end this war and stop the demon-human race. In order to save Yao, the power of the war god set is indispensable. If there was any way to make the arrogant demon-human empress stop her revenge, the only choice was to defeat her directly and end this war. Only by becoming her enemy would he be able to talk to her. Lin Chen pondered in his heart. In the previous war, I accumulated 3 supreme-grade metal-type odd crystals. After finding the 7th metal divine pool, I obtained 6 supreme-grade metal-type odd crystals. Now I have 9 supreme-grade metal-type odd crystals, and I'm still missing one. That's right, he was still missing the last supreme-grade metal-type odd crystal, and Lin Chen will be able to forge the last piece of the War God set. And in the sacred boundary, there was news of another supreme-grade metal-type odd crystal. While Lin Chen was rushing back to the sacred boundary, the sacred boundary welcomed a shocking change. Limitless Palace, Bright Moon Stage. Today, the 100 clans had gathered together. A large number of rank 9 forces had appeared and gathered together. This time, more than 2/3 of the rank 9 forces in the sacred boundary's 36 domains were present. There were also mysterious families and sects that were even more secretive than the rank 9 sects. There was probably only one person in the world who could invite so many experts and forces. The number 1 fortune teller in the sacred boundary, Old Man Wuji. Chapter 1804. The limitless old man held a horsetail whisk in his hand. His long beard fluttered as he walked onto the bright moon platform. He looked around, and many familiar faces came into view. His expression was solemn as he said loudly, "Thank you all for giving this old man face and coming to my limitless heavenly palace from thousands of miles away. Today, I summoned you all here to discuss one thing, and that is to work together." As soon as the word "work together" came out, all the experts immediately frowned. Since ancient times, they had been competitors with each other. Except for a few major events in history, there was almost no such thing as working together. A strange old man in a blood-red cloak said coldly. His eyes were hollow, and a sharp light flashed between his brows. "Old man, it's not practical for us to work together. You didn't invite us here today for such a boring matter, right?" A golden armored man with a golden spear pointed to the sky. He was extraordinarily handsome as he sat cross-legged on the clouds. It was as if he was holding up the heavens and earth. "I agree with this old man. Limitless old man, let's get straight to the point. What is it? Is it because of that little brat Lin Chen from before?" Everyone looked at the limitless old man. The limitless old man took a deep breath and said loudly, "Since that's the case, this old man will get straight to the point. Since the last calamity that this old man deduced, the greatest calamity of the human race's sacred boundary has arrived early due to some uncontrollable factors." The limitless old man did not say that the reason why this calamity came early was because a certain human race youth whose fate could not be deduced had come into contact with the Empress. The calamity came from the Hell Star system in the south. The 9 calamities came, and misfortune overflowed. The 99 demon stars reappeared. The demon race rose, and the Empress descended. The world is about to be in chaos, and the experts of the various races will come out again. The demon race will launch a general attack on the human race. The limitless old man's words stirred up 1,000 waves. All the experts stood up. Their eyes were filled with unconcealable shock. The demon race launched a general attack on the human race. The golden-armored man, who had been calm and collected just a moment ago, immediately raised his eyebrows and glared at the golden-armored man. "Old man, can you guarantee the accuracy of what you said? This is no small matter. This is a war between races. We can't be careless." The limitless old man nodded slightly. "Since this old man dared to gather all of you here, I naturally have enough confidence. This time, this old man has already invited a specialized Saint King to the infernal galaxy to scout the area belonging to the 4 great elders of the demonic race." Many demonic race tribes have already disappeared and headed to the main star field of the infernal galaxy. With a flick of his finger, countless streaks of light shot towards the powerhouses. It was a spatial jade slip. The experts opened the jade slips, which contained a large amount of information about the Hellstar system. When they saw the details, the expressions of many experts changed. He was serious. The fighting strength of the Devil Cultivator clan was unprecedentedly concentrated. This was not an ordinary civil war. If so, there was no reason to mobilize so many demonic king-level experts. A Saint King realm powerhouse was an existence that could truly destroy the world. It was known as the territory of the 4 great elders of the demonic race. All the known demonic kings of the human race had been mobilized. This cannot be a civil war. The limitless old man said with a solemn expression, "In order to collect this information, my limitless heavenly palace has lost 3 Saint Kings. The authenticity of the information is self-evident. Most of the gods of the human race's sacred boundary have already left the sacred boundary. Some of the guests present must know this in their hearts. This old man will not elaborate on the reason why the gods left. This time, I have gathered everyone to discuss the matter of resisting the demonic race." Clang! Someone threw his cup and left. What kind of joke is this? Joining forces to deal with the demonic race. The Empress of the demonic race has the combat strength to force the gods back. If she returns unharmed and brings the elders of the demonic race to kill us, the gods are not here. What are we going to use to fight? Damn it, whoever wants to fight can fight. I'm leaving. You want us to be the scapegoat of the gods. Impossible. Immediately, someone chose to retreat and even left through the air. The limitless old man seemed to have expected this and calmly watched all of this. After the first batch of powerhouses left, there were only half of the powerhouses left in the Bright Moon platform. Those who remained were all ruthless characters from the major sects. Patting his blood-colored cloak, the old and weak old man smiled indifferently. "Then, old man, what do you think we should do?" The limitless old man said, "Coordinate our combat strength and join forces to deal with the demonic race." The golden-armored man raised his eyebrows. "With all due respect, even if we join forces in the absence of the gods, if we fight head-on, I'm afraid we don't even have a 10% chance of winning." The limitless old man nodded and said, "Indeed, this is a losing situation. So we have to retreat in order to advance. When the war begins, the demonic race will definitely target our human race. So we have to withstand the first wave of attacks and take out the biggest formation to feign an attack." All the powerhouses were taken aback. Feign attack. In the face of absolute strength, there was no possibility of a comeback. The limitless old man picked up a blue chess piece and said indifferently, "In this operation, the entire body will be affected. The demonic race has hated the human race for a long time. This operation will definitely trigger a series of reactions. The demon race has coveted the human race for many generations. They will definitely invade the sacred boundary after the human race's sacred boundary is broken through, or when both sides are injured. This old man has already deduced that the upper echelons of the demon race have already made their move. Invading the sacred boundary is only inevitable. What we need to do is to pretend to be defeated in the first wave of attacks. First, let the demonic race in, and then wait for the demon race to arrive. With the help of the 4 great demon race forces, we will heavily injure the demonic race. Then we will look for an opportunity to counterattack. Moreover, the dragon race will not sit idly by. At that time, it is very likely that it will turn into a chaotic battle between the top experts of the 3 races. Our human race can only wait until the end for the only possibility. The old man in the blood-colored cloak covered his mouth and nose with his clothes. A deep light flashed across his old eyes. It is very risky to deceive the upper echelons of the demonic race into feigning an attack. Perhaps we will all be wiped out. The limitless old man said bluntly, "You are right. Perhaps we will be defeated in the first wave of feints. No matter what the result is, it will definitely be a disaster. Perhaps this will be the last battle of the human race in the history of the sacred boundary. But no matter what the outcome is, I hope everyone will remember." The limitless old man's voice was sonorous and powerful. When the demon race invades the sacred boundary and fights with the demonic race, it will be the last hope of our human race. It may be sad, but it is the only possibility now. 3 days later, a shocking news spread from the Saint Monarch region to the 36 regions. The human race's sacred boundary was in chaos. In the demon world, the upper echelons of the bloodthirsty demon race had gathered. Today was a grand occasion for the demon world of all races. The demon emperor had personally summoned them to coordinate the battle. The bloodthirsty demon emperor had personally appeared. He took the appearance of a human youth, wearing the demon emperor armor wrapped in blood energy like dragons. He wore a demon crown on his head, and his eyes were scarlet red. He sat high above the palace. Facing the heavenly demon venerables, and other experts under his command, he casually played with a wine cup filled with the blood of the human race's Saint King. He drank it in one gulp and then smiled evilly. "Everyone, thousands of years have passed. There is no better time than now. Bloodthirsty demon race, listen to my orders. Follow my orders and attack the human race's sacred boundary." Chapter 1805. Thousands of demons in the desolate demon and devil world were excited. Countless regions were chanting the name of the Devil Emperor. Today, the heaven-burying Devil Emperor had arrived in person. Countless demons cheered. On the high platform, the heaven-burying Devil Emperor, who maintained the appearance of a demonic young man, smiled evilly and stroked the devil eye that was rotating in his palm. As the devil eye rotated, it seemed to be able to absorb the light of heaven and earth. After that, sinister, devilish eyes opened on the neck, face, and shoulders of the heaven-burying Devil Emperor's imperial body as they swiveled around. The heaven-burying Devil Emperor revealed a maniacal smile and said, "Everyone, listen to my orders and follow my will to the sacred boundary of the human race. The first place to go is the heaven's battlefield." The Devil Emperor's voice spread throughout the entire desolate demon and devil world. Boom, boom, boom. Thousands of demons were excited, and their murderous intent shook the 9 heavens. The devil race's evil aura was released and covered the entire star field outside the devil world. The distance between the various star systems was extremely far. This distance was not too far for the true gods, devil emperors, and divine dragons. However, it would take some time for the upper echelons and mid-level combatants to arrive. At high speed, it would take more than a month to move to another star system. Moreover, it was under the premise that they did not encounter a large cosmic storm. Therefore, in this kind of super large-scale racial war, the side that took the initiative to participate in the war had to have at least the 7th level of the Saint Realm, which was the Star Realm. Living beings with insufficient cultivation would not only be unable to fight, but would also become a burden when moving between star systems. Whoosh! Whoosh! A group of heavenly demon sovereigns and heavenly demon emperors tore through the void and came to the heaven-burying devil emperor's high platform and knelt on one knee. Heavenly demon emperors were the most powerful demons of the human race who were at the reincarnation saint realm. Among the 4 great demon clans, they were the most powerful cadres and were the confidants of the devil emperors. The heaven-burying devil emperor waved his hand and said, "All of you, lead the army to advance. Remember, you must let the demons attack first. Our goal this time is to prioritize the human race. The demons' attack will tire the human race out." Yes, all the demons received the order and were about to leave. Wait, the heaven-burying devil emperor stopped the 8 heavenly demon emperors. His eyes flashed with a soul-stirring demonic light, and he smiled playfully. "The 8 of you do not need to follow the army. Just follow me." The heaven-burying devil emperor looked into the distance as if he could see through the void and into a pitch-black abyss. The celestial demonic emperors reacted quickly. They had accompanied the emperor for countless years, so how could they not know the emperor's intent? They were all stunned. "Great demon emperor, you want to kill your way up through the demon eye of the sacred boundary?" Sacred boundary, holy prison. The location where the holy purgatory was suppressed had always been the main space-time plane of the demonic realm. Back then, as one of the victors of the Great War, the gods joined forces to create the holy prison, which directly suppressed a part of the demonic realm's space-time plane. Only a part of the space-time crack was left, which was not enough for the more powerful demons of the demonic realm to come out. For this reason, the demonic realm even had to open up a new plane for survival. Breaking the holy hell devil wasn't easy even for devil emperors. It might even require many devil emperors to join hands. An enchanting demon emperor with a thick tail said hesitantly, "Demon emperor, breaking the seal of the holy prison of the human race can certainly catch the human race by surprise, but wouldn't that be too costly?" The heaven-burying devil emperor was stronger than he had been in the past, but the price he had to pay to break the seal of the holy purgatory was too great. At this time, all the demons outside the high platform had already dispersed. The heaven-burying devil emperor slowly stood up. Ha ha ha! His laughter was crazy and domineering, and this space-time prostrated before him. This time, this emperor only wants to take the dog life of the human race Lin Chun. Since he dared to kill this emperor's son, all the humans related to him must pay the price. When the heaven-burying devil emperor vaguely released a violent pressure, it almost suppressed the 8 heavenly devil emperors to their knees. The 8 heavenly devil emperors were all shocked at first, but then they were wild with joy. "Congratulations, Lord Devil Emperor, for ascending to a new realm. 10,000 years, Devil Emperor. Only the desolate demons will rule the myriad of worlds. The heaven-burying Devil Emperor will live forever." The heavenly Devil Emperor's congratulations made the heaven-burying Devil Emperor laugh, especially creepily. This emperor has already completely controlled that thing. Those 4 lowly things still think that this emperor will tell them the secret? Nonsense. This emperor wants it all. Get ready. As soon as the demonic race launches an attack, move out immediately. This time, our target is not only Lin Chun, but also the entire demonic race and the human race. While the devil realm was undergoing a great change, the strange domain. Boom, boom, boom. The clouds were torn apart, and a peerless great ancient dragon descended from the sky, flying thousands of miles and soaring in the strange domain. Countless experts were alarmed, and when they looked up, They saw the silver-robed figure on the ancient dragon and were shocked speechless. Ancient? Ancient dragon? It's Lin Chen's ancient dragon. What a terrifying pressure. This guy's ancient dragon was far from this realm back then. In his own realm, this old man sensed an extraordinary saint power fluctuation. Strange domain, Dragon Palace. This was the temporary location of the Dragon Clan. Even though both sides had built a large space passage, the Dragon Clan would still arrange a group of experts to guard this place to show their sincerity. Among them, there were many descendants of the Divine Dragon. Inside the Dragon Palace, the blonde Princess Xingyu, who was dressed in a phoenix dress, lay weakly on the table, showing off her exquisite and slender waist. The beautiful dragon horn glowed with a faint golden light. The princess drew circles on the table with her slender fingers, cursing a certain arsonist who was in a hurry to see the empress. Thinking of his frivolous appearance, Princess Xingyu was furious. Just as she was about to scold him for the 180th time, boom, boom, the mighty dragon aura descended upon the strange domain. Princess Xingyu, who was angry a moment ago, stood up happily in the next moment. It's him. He's back. When she came back to her senses, Princess Xingyu patted her cheeks with her jade-like hands and scolded disappointingly. Seriously, it's just him coming back. Why should I be happy? After saying that, the arrogant dragon princess rushed out of the dragon palace as fast as she could. Outside the dragon palace, everyone looked up. A huge ancient dragon with azure dragon scales and golden divine radiance appeared in the sky. When Lin Chun arrived at the dragon palace, the dragon kings were dumbfounded. Lin Chun is back. No, his ancient dragon scales have changed, and his dragon claws. Hiss! This old man can feel the pressure of a divine dragon from his dragon king. The dragon kings had sharp eyes and saw through Lin Chen's abnormality at a glance. They couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Looking at the majestic scene that resembled the descent of a divine dragon, Princess Xingyu muttered to herself, "How long has it been since he left? He actually had another heaven-defying fortuitous encounter. I can't even catch up to him." Lin Chun had just returned when he saw Jiang Taishu, who came out to welcome him, and immediately said, "Taishu, how is the situation of the supreme-grade metal-type odd crystals in the heavenly sacred region?" Jiang Taishu cupped his fists and asked in a deep voice, "Reporting to my lord, the other party has vowed not to let go. No matter what price we pay, they don't plan to sell it to us." Just as Lin Chun was feeling troubled, a hearty laugh spread throughout the world. "Lin Chun, I haven't seen you for many months. I didn't expect you to grow into the strongest existence in the world. Today, in the sacred boundary, I'm afraid there are very few people who can match you." The white-haired old man held a horsetail whisk in his hand and sat on a strangely shaped white goat as he stepped on the clouds. Lin Chen was surprised. "Senior Limitless? You are." Suddenly, Lin Chen's eyes focused on the white goat, and his pupils constricted. That white goat seemed to have spirituality. It raised its head and glanced at him contemptuously before letting out a baa. It was as if it was saying to Lin Chun, "Young man, that's it? Damn it, I was despised by a goat." The corner of Lin Chen's mouth twitched slightly. What shocked him the most was that this goat didn't seem to be a creature of the three-dimensional universe. He had felt a similar aura before. Divine world. The origin of Old Man Limitless was also related to the divine world. Chapter 1806. Throughout the sacred boundary, Lin Chun might not be invincible, but at least below the true god level, there were less than 10 people who could fight with him. But now, he was actually being looked down upon by a sheep? Should he say, as expected of the sheep of the four-dimensional universe? Lin Chun touched his chin and thought to himself, could he be the sheep that Li Bei couldn't find? He's quite something. Old man Wuji flicked his sleeves and put away his horsetail whisk. He smiled and said, "Lin Chun, the war is coming. This old man has something to discuss. Are you interested?" Lin Chun retracted his gaze and said, "No, I have never been a kind person. The rise and fall of the hatred between races has nothing to do with me. I have urgent matters to attend to, so I won't accompany you." Old man Wuji stroked his beard and smiled. This old man can make the Jiang family of the heavenly sacred region sell their top-grade odd crystals to you. Lin Chun said in all seriousness, "The heavens have bestowed a great responsibility on a handsome man. I will woo the empress, save the common people, and reverse the situation. Senior Wuji, I suddenly feel that I am the chosen one. Come, let's talk." Old man Wuji said with satisfaction, "I have long seen that you are not an ordinary person." Lin Chun cupped his fists and said, "You flatter me. I am just a little more handsome and have picked up a little more techniques." Old man Wuji praised, "And I can see that you are very aware." Lin Chun waved his hand. "I don't have much awareness, but I still dare to do it." He even pretended to glare at Jiang Taishu. "What are you still standing there for? Quickly treat us to tea." Jiang Taishu, "It's my fault." Lin Chun and old man Wuji entered the Dragon Palace, and the Dragon Kings held their breaths. "Human race, old man Wuji." This person's name resounded like thunder. Even in the dragon race, he was one of the most mysterious figures in the human race. There was once a divine dragon who said that this person's threat level was no less than a true god. In fact, he might even be better than him. Inside the Dragon Palace, the Dragon Kings gathered. Qianing Shui and the two little girls beside Wuji Old Man were also there. Qianing Shui was like a piercingly cold snow lotus on top of an ice mountain, pure and untainted by the secular world. Her beauty stunned Luo Shuiyue and Princess Xingyu. She stood by her great-grandfather's side like a blooming snow lotus. Her autumn eyes were filled with ripples as she stared at Lin Chun with a gaze filled with awe and extraordinary splendor. In less than a year's time, Lin Chun had already grown from the level of fighting against Wu Pianju to a big shot that his great-grandfather had to personally invite over. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, no one would have believed it. The everlasting old man went straight to the point. The demon race is invading. Lin Chun, your power and strength are indispensable. I ask Lin Chun to help in the battle and protect the people of this sacred boundary. Lin Chun said indifferently, "Some people are full of benevolence and righteousness, but their hearts are full of business." "Senior, what do you want from me?" "I, Lin Fan, like to speak frankly. If you have a goal, then just say it." Protecting the sacred boundary was not realistic at all. Even if Lin Chun used all of his trump cards, his main body could only temporarily possess the power of a true god. His clone could not use the cultivation of the God Slayer and God Define. In this state, it was impossible to defend against the demon race's attack. The everlasting old man was not surprised by Lin Chen's reaction. He continued, "This old man, the destruction of the human race and the sacred boundary will cause the fate of the human race to be completely exhausted, which will affect this old man's life. In the end, this old man is just protecting himself." Lin Chen raised his eyebrows. "There is such a thing? How can the exhaustion of fate be related to you? I don't believe it." The everlasting old man glanced at Fairy Scarlet behind Lin Chun. The latter lowered her eyes, not daring to look at the everlasting old man. The everlasting old man smiled. "Fine, you will know one day. There is no harm in telling you now. This old man comes from the God realm. The true gods of the three-dimensional universe can live forever. In the God realm of the four-dimensional universe, even the powerful gods can't live forever. The transcendence of dimensions causes the energy needed to withstand to be on a completely different level. In the God realm, the saints can't even completely abstain from eating. As a fortune teller, this old man can't become a god in his lifetime. My lifespan in the God realm is limited, and I'm tired of the disputes in the God realm, so I fled to the lower realm. However, when the four-dimensional creatures descend to the three-dimensional universe, even if they have special means to conceal their aura, they can only exist for a period of time. Under the premise that the four-dimensional creatures want to live in the three-dimensional universe for a long time, they have to go through the tribulation of dimension reduction. This is the instinctive defense of the three-dimensional universe against the external universe. The tribulation of dimension reduction has the power to destroy the four-dimensional gods. However, if they can survive it, they can live in the lower realm for a long time. As soon as this was said, countless dragon kings and servants. They were shocked. The everlasting old man in front of them was actually from a higher dimension, the God realm. Jiang Taishu said in astonishment, "No wonder no one can find out the origin of this old senior. It's fine if he doesn't make a move, but once he does, he speaks of the many disasters of the human race." So he came from the God realm. Lin Shun was not surprised. He calmly looked at the everlasting old man. The old man continued, "However, the four-dimensional creatures that survive the tribulation of dimension reduction will be bound to the fate of their own race. If the race of the lower realm completely declines, they will be infected with the impure air of dimension reduction. Gradually, their cultivation will be eroded, and their lives will be eroded. The everlasting old man didn't make a move when the Genesis era was tyrannical and purging the mortals. It could be seen that he didn't care about the death of all living beings. This was because the Genesis era's target was the mortals, not the entire human race. Now, the demon race's target was the entire human race. There was also a demon race eyeing covetously. There weren't so many great and righteous deeds in the world. Most of the great deeds that were praised in the future only originated from individuals. Therefore, Lin Chen didn't doubt this reason. Lin Chen said, "If this is your reason, then I can tell you with certainty that it's not realistic." Lin Chen stood up. Lin Chen, don't know anything else, but I know how to attack. But you want me to defend. Without the combat power of many true gods, I can't protect all living beings in multiple directions." The everlasting old man stroked his beard and smiled. "You can't do it, but with your relationship, it's possible, isn't it?" With that said, he stared at the Dragon Kings. Lin Shin understood and said in shock, "You want me to rope in the dragon race and fight against the demon race?" The everlasting old man smiled and didn't say anything. He reached out and took a sip of the hot tea. "This tea is really good. It's as fragrant as that supreme-grade metal type, odd crystal." Lin Shun, taste it carefully, taste it carefully." The corner of Lin Chen's mouth twitched. "Taste my ass." Right now, he just wanted to jump up and give this old fart a hell's block. Damn, the everlasting old man had already planned and was waiting for him. Lin Shun. This old man must have collected a lot of information about him. If there was anyone who could get the dragon race to help, it would be Lin Shun. Lin Shun pretended to sneer. "Everlasting old man, aren't you afraid that I, Lin Shun, won't agree to your conditions and snatch it by force?" The two cute little girls, one red and one white, giggled beside the old man. "Big sister, he said he wants to snatch the thing controlled by great-grandpa. The rain has stopped. God is gone. He thinks he can do it again." The everlasting old man flicked his horsetail whisk and pointed to the white goat lying outside the dragon palace, lazily basking in the sun. He smiled and said, "Little friend, look at the bell on its neck. If you can snatch it within 2 hours, it's yours. I won't mention it. But if you can't, you have to agree to my request. How about it?" Lin Shin looked over, and his eyes lit up. The long-horned white goat had a golden bell on its neck. There was a dazzling golden jade inlaid in front of the bell. It was sharp and unbreakable, as though it was filled with the power of metal. A supreme-grade metal-type odd crystal. Lin Shin licked his lips and smiled playfully. "If you snatch it, you'll give it to me? For real?" The everlasting old man laughed. "More real than real gold." Rumble. There was a sonic boom as a slow rune was released. Lin Shin went straight for the long-horned white goat. "Great! I'll eat a whole roasted goat tonight." Chapter 1807. When the slowdown talisman exploded, space froze, and the flow of energy became especially slow. The longhorned white goat was surprised at first. Then, Lin Shin's palm appeared above its head, and he slammed it down. The Dragon Kings did not even need to look, and they all laughed. With Lin Chen's current strength, it was likely that only some of the true old monsters could fight with him. Not to mention a sheep. Even if there were 1,000 saint beasts, Lin Chen could still grab a bunch of them from the great wilderness. Smack! A crisp sound echoed. Just when everyone thought that Lin Chen had slapped the goat to death. To everyone's surprise, Lin Chen flew out like a kite with a broken string, landing outside the dragon palace. The servants and descendants of the divine dragon could not help but stare with their mouths agape. Disbelief was written all over their faces. What's going on? Even if this goat had some kind of ultimate skill, at most it would not be caught by Lin Chen in the first move. It would be difficult to send him flying with a kick. Bang! Bang! Lin Chen fell outside the dragon palace. Even he himself could not believe it. Am I F** king stupid? Lin Chen was stunned. I can't even catch a goat. Whoosh! The sound of wind breaking could be heard. Bang! Lin Chen was sent flying again. His entire waist was severely injured, and he spun out. My kidney! Bang! 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 A series of strong winds tore through space, reverberating like lightning, attacking Lin Chen at the speed of 1,000 strikes in an instant. In just a dozen breaths, Lin Chen had suffered tens of thousands of attacks and frenzied attacks. The ferocious force penetrated his body, causing his blood to boil. A faint golden light circulated, and Lin Chen's sacred power condensed into a golden jade robe, covering his entire body. Seeing this, the servants could not help but gasp. Their lord was forced to use a defensive skill. Where's that go? Speaking of which, it disappeared from the beginning. I can always smell a trace of its scent, but I can't sense its exact location. The Dragon Kings walked out of the Dragon Palace and looked at Lin Chen, who was struggling to fend off the attacks. Their faces were filled with horror. Jiang Taishu moved his fingers in an attempt to deduce the location of a long-horned white goat for his lord, but there was no sign of it. Everyone could vaguely feel that it was there, but they couldn't sense its exact location. Even Lin Chen was the same. His primordial divinity spread out and covered more than half of the wondrous realm. No matter how he probed, he couldn't find the sheep. Bah, 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 bah. The void trembled, and there was a burst of complacent bleating, as if it was mocking Lin Chen. Lin Chen's lips twitched. He was so angry that he actually laughed. Fuck you. I'll let you be arrogant. It doesn't matter if you can't see it. Brother Chen, if I say I'll do it, then I'll definitely do it. Boom! The primordial divinity flames burned the sky and earth. All the experts felt as if their spiritual power was about to be burned. Only the primordial divinity could sense the unique high temperature. It was like a sea of fire, spreading thousands of miles around the Dragon Palace. The red sea of primordial divinity flames gathered above Lin Chen's head like a whirlpool, intertwining and dancing. Finally, it condensed into 8 primordial divinity burning dragons. An extreme prison, heavenly prison, was formed, separating Lin Chen's battle area. With his current cultivation, if he used a cultivation technique seriously, its power could really destroy the world. It's okay if you can't see. I just need to use a full-range attack to blast you out. I originally wanted to show mercy to you. You dare to kick my kidney. If I don't kill you, Lin Chen, won't believe it. Lin Chen formed a hand seal. Roar, roar, roar. The dragon's roar shook the world, and the sonic boom was earth-shattering, annihilating everything. The void kept exploding, and the southwest of the wondrous realm kept shaking violently. Although Lin Chen used the Dragon King's divine ability to isolate his power, the terrifying dragon's roar alone was enough to frighten many experts. Bang! A powerful kick landed on Lin Chen's chest, shattering his golden jade armor defense. Lin Chen's eyes were filled with disbelief. With a whoosh, he was sent flying again like a meteor falling from the sky. The old man in the Dragon Palace shook his head and laughed. Youngsters nowadays are really energetic. He took a sip of tea and drank by himself, smiling meaningfully. If you survive this war between the races, you'll go to the God Realm sooner or later, right? Now, just treat it as a warm-up before you enter the Divine Realm. Feel the difference between a four-dimensional and a three-dimensional life form. Kid. Lin Chun rose into the air, ignoring his sorry state, and prepared for battle. Again, Lin Chun didn't believe in heresy. After a while, boom, the dragon palace shook, and the earth's crust was lifted, creating a shocking crater. This was the 90th time Lin Chun was beaten to the ground. Lin Chun didn't have too many injuries, but his eyes were filled with anger, as if he was a man who had been cuckolded and was going crazy. 2F** King angry. When did my brother Chin suffer such grievances? It doesn't matter if he loses, but the problem is that the other party can't beat him, and he can't catch the other party. He can only take the beating passively. What is this? Thinking of the arrogant and disdainful look of that stinky goat, Lin Chun was so angry that his teeth itched. He couldn't wait to charge into the world with a grill, a spoon of cumin, and a bottle of snow. The old man put down his teacup. The appointed time was almost up. This was originally a competition without any suspense. The decisive factor wasn't the gap in strength, but the distance in dimensions. At this moment, Xiao Er's beautiful eyes trembled. As someone who controlled space and understood the mysteries of space and time, she was the first to realize what was wrong. This wasn't some kind of concealment technique or divine ability, nor was it hiding in the cracks of space and time, nor was it hiding in the cracks of space. It was just that this white goat was one dimension higher than Lin Chun. Xiao Er's beautiful voice echoed in Lin Chun's mind. My lord, don't try to sense or catch him. Try retreating in order to advance. Try using a defensive posture to rebound and attack. Xiao Er's figure enlightened Lin Chun. He immediately stood still like a mountain. All his saint acupoints shone slightly, and his saint power surged. He even closed his eyes and didn't look. Whoosh! A fierce gust of wind that could easily penetrate a Saint King's defense suddenly bombarded Lin Chun's dantian. Bang! When it hit Lin Chun, Lin Chun's shoulders shook, and the light of his saint acupoints suddenly surged, and a loud sound shook the world. Bah! The white goat's scream suddenly sounded, but he still couldn't sense where it came from. Oh! The old man was slightly surprised. This young man was always able to surprise him. Lin Chun opened his eyes and revealed a smile. So that's how it is? I've finally figured it out. Clap, clap, clap. There was a round of applause, and the old man personally walked over with a smile. Your comprehension speed is very fast. However, once the time limit is up, you've already used up 2 hours, but you still haven't caught the odd crystal on its bell. According to the agreement, you need to find the dragon race's support before I can let the Jiang family sell you the odd crystal. The infinity old man said with a smile. Lin Chun said helplessly, if you agree to bet, you must accept your loss. You win this time. The old man was very impressed. You seem to understand where the gap is. Lin Chun pondered for a moment. It's because of the fourth dimension. It's a four-dimensional creature, and I'm a three-dimensional creature. I can't observe it. Four-dimensional creatures had one more dimension than three-dimensional creatures. Using two-dimensional creatures as an example, two-dimensional creatures could only achieve front and back, and left and right. Three-dimensional creatures could achieve front and back, left and right, and up and down. If an extremely strong two-dimensional creature attacked Lin Chun, as a three-dimensional creature, Lin Chun only needed to hide in the up and down to attack. No matter how strong a two-dimensional creature was, it couldn't hurt him who was one-dimensional. Similarly, no matter how strong a three-dimensional creature was, it couldn't hurt a four-dimensional creature in theory. This was the distance between dimensions. The old man looked at Lin Chun with admiration. That's right. In addition to the first three dimensions, the fourth dimension has one more dimension, and that is bend and curve. Chapter 1808. The long-horned white goat's figure appeared in the void and finally revealed its true form. It staggered as its hooves were broken and bloodstains could be seen. It no longer looked at Lin Chun with arrogance and disdain, but with fear instead. It was obvious that this three-dimensional life form that it looked down on had the ability to harm it. But if it wanted to escape, Lin Chen still wouldn't be able to stop it. With the speed of a four-dimensional life form, Lin Chen wouldn't know where to go unless he had a higher rank. This wasn't the four-dimensional universe, and four-dimensional life forms could still enter the fourth-dimensional space, but there would be a time limit. Stopping for a long time would deplete the life force of the body. In fact, Lin Chen didn't really have the ability to harm four-dimensional life forms. He only used the simplest sacred power to reflect the opponent. When a four-dimensional life form touched him, its physical body would still exist. Even if it existed in the fourth dimension, the prerequisite was that the opponent had to attack him. And this basic move was fine against life forms that were a few ranks lower, but against four-dimensional life forms of the same rank, Lin Chen could only take a beating. Lin Chen looked at Old Man Wuji. Senior, as promised, I will negotiate with the dragon race. If I succeed, please sell me the supreme grade metal type odd crystal. This item is very important to my growth. Old Man Wuji stroked his beard and smiled. I naturally trust Lin Chen's character. He's from the Jiang family. The negotiation was completed. After clearing the ruins of the battle outside, everyone returned to the Dragon Palace. Lin Chen cupped his fists at the Dragon Kings and said, Everyone from the dragon race, you already know what happened. This time, I will not bargain with you and will give you the highest price. As long as the dragon race is willing to lend a hand and form an alliance with the human race, I can increase the bloodline of all the dragon race members above the dragon sovereign realm by 2 grades. It will be 1 grade higher than the bloodline of the divine dragon descendants. Hiss! The mouths of the dragon kings guarding the mysterious domain trembled violently. This price was enough to stun the dragon kings the moment he made his move. However, it was as if Lin Chen wouldn't stop until he said something shocking. Dragon kings, please pass on my message to the divine dragons of the dragon world. If they can help the humans tide over this crisis, the humans and dragons will be the final winners. I can even provide a bloodline upgrade for the divine dragons. The bloodline of the divine dragon could also be improved. This time, all the dragon kings were greatly frightened. An old dragon king said while trembling, Lin Chen, is this true? It was fine for dragon kings like them to improve their bloodline. At most, it would only increase the possibility of the dragon race's future. However, divine dragons could also enhance their bloodline. The concept was on a completely different level. The divine dragons of the dragon clan were the last divine dragons who had survived many great battles. They were the pillars of the dragon realm. Most of their potential had already been developed to the extreme. If they could get another boost, it would mean that they could break through to a whole new realm. Lin Chen nodded solemnly. I can take full responsibility for my words, but I hope that you can convey my meaning accurately. My ability can only be used by myself. Moreover, it's not easy to enhance the bloodline potential of a divine dragon. It has to do with my own cultivation. Only by winning this battle can I have the possibility of helping the divine dragons enhance their bloodline. If the divine dragons covet my ability to enhance their bloodline, I, Lin Chen, will fight to the death with the dragon race, let alone allies. As an advance payment, I can enhance the bloodline of the venerable dragons in the dragon race first. Lin Chen's drawing of a pie and wooden club shocked the dragon race quite a bit. However, the temptation was still very strong. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The Dragon Kings communicated with each other through voice transmissions. There was an unprecedented heated discussion. In fact, Lin Chen was not lying. His attribute transfer function could be used on divine dragons, but it required an astronomical amount of attribute points. Even though he had accumulated a lot of attribute points now, it might not be enough to enhance the bloodline of the divine dragons. The only source could only be this final battle at the sacred boundary of the human race. Lin Chen, the old dragon king, spoke with unconcealable excitement on his face. We have unanimously decided to support your suggestion. However, the real decision still depends on the divine dragons. I will bring back your original words as soon as possible. Lin Chen cupped his fists and smiled. Thank you for your trouble. You won't lose out if you work with me, Lin Chen. Of course. The Dragon Kings were very tactful. After a unanimous decision, they immediately set off and returned to the Dragon World. Zi Qianqiu and Xiao Ling followed them. They opened up the space tunnel and array formation, so they had to seize every second. As for the Wuji old man, he rode on the long-horned white goat and left with his great-granddaughters. Before leaving, he left Lin Chen with a spatial jade slip. If he reached an agreement with the dragon race, he could summon him at any time. Lin Chen stepped into the dragon palace. The noble and graceful, beautiful figure looked at him with slight anger. Lin Chen whistled playfully. Princess Xingyue, you're so free. Aren't you going back to the dragon race? Let me say this first. I don't care about idle people, including idle dragons. If you stay here, you have to work hard. Princess Xingyue glared at him and snorted coldly. When I worked hard, you were still nowhere to be found. Compared to some people who don't even know how to say thank you, the difference is like heaven and earth. Lin Chen smiled meaningfully. Don't worry. I will definitely repay the kindness of a drop of water with a gushing spring. Princess Xingyue stroked the hair by her ear and smiled. Repay with a gushing spring? Let's see how you're going to repay it. Lin Chen said seriously, come to my room tonight. I will repay you with a gushing spring. My advantages have always been huge and my skills are excellent. When it comes to repaying kindness, it's called Perseverance Day after day. Princess Xingyue. When Luo Shueiyue heard this, her cheeks turned red. She covered her blushing face and spat. At this moment, a handsome figure walked over from behind Princess Xingyue and entered Lin Chen's eyes. Ninth on the Saint Talent list, Li Ziki. Li Ziki bowed slightly to Lin Chen and said respectfully, Your Excellency Lin Chen, we haven't had the chance to meet since we parted last time. I am Li Ziki, ninth on the Saint Talent list. After the Battle of Genesis, I, Li Ziki, have witnessed your magnanimity. I am willing to follow you loyally. I have always felt that Your Excellency Lin Chen is a righteous role model for our human race. Li Ziki cultivated in seclusion all year round and rarely came out. He didn't even know much about the world, but he firmly believed in the righteous path and righteousness in his heart. After witnessing the battle and struggle between Lin Chen and Genesis, he felt that the great Tao was not lonely. There were still righteous people like Lin Chen in the world. Seeing Li Ziki's pure and sincere eyes, Lin Chen couldn't help but sigh. One honest child. Immediately, Lin Chen laughed mischievously. It won't be too late to praise me after you see what I do next. Li Ziki was stunned. What did he do next? Princess Xingyue raised her eyebrows and her beautiful eyes rippled. Every time he smiled like this, nothing good would happen. What was this guy trying to do now? Chapter 1809. Within the Dragon Palace, Lin Chen looked around. Most of the servants were present today, as well as the hidden experts and elders of the Divine Flame Palace who followed the servants. Lin Chen spoke frankly to everyone. The outcome of this war is completely unknown. Even with the help of the Dragon Clan, our chances of victory are only a small success. Once we fail, the human race of the Sacred Boundary will cease to exist. This war is different from the past. Whoever wants to leave the Guardian families and leave the Sacred Boundary, I, Lin Chen, will not say a word. You can leave as you wish. None of the experts left. Lin Chen's lips curled up. Very good. I like the look in your eyes. Fong Ling and Lang Fanyun stepped forward, one on the left and one on the right. The two of them now had white hair and looked like elders in their 60s. However, they were in high spirits and full of glory. Fong Ling smiled. My lord, do you want us to become stronger again? Lang Fanyun said, My lord, just tell us what you want us to do. We will do our best to complete it, regardless of the cost. Long Jioshan, who was in the first row, grinned. Even if we have to become enemies with the whole world. Lin Chen clapped his hands and praised. Jioshan, you are so smart. How did you think of what I want to do? Everyone was stunned. Lin Chen laughed heartily. overflowing with arrogance. Next, I have an important mission for all of you. Turn the Saints' world upside down for me. 36 domains, don't let any of them go. All the aristocratic families, sects, and forces go and rob them of everything. Lin Chen's words caused Li Ziki, who had previously admired Lin Chen to the point of prostrating himself in admiration, to tremble violently. His pure and sincere eyes were filled with disbelief at this moment. Li Ziki said in shock, "Sir Lin Chen, the strength of the human race is limited now. Every force is an important force in this war." Lin Chen ignored Li Ziki and continued, "You can rob any force. Remember, you must take the most important items and cultivation resources. You can hurt people, but you can't take their lives. Of course, you could do whatever you want in areas like Blood Realm and War Realm, where desperados gather. In short, I want you to remember that you must act under my name, Lin Chen. Wherever you go, wherever you rob, you must leave behind my name, Lin Chen. We need to cover the entire sacred boundary as quickly as possible. This is the most important step before the war. Gather all the loot back here for me to use. As for those hidden rank 9 sects, leave them to my doppelganger." After Lin Chen finished his instructions, all the servants knelt on one knee, and the hidden experts cupped their fists respectfully. Yes, what terrifying cohesion. No one understood what Lin Chen was trying to do. However, no one doubted Lin Chen's actions. Strong as the Divine Flame Palace, they were even willing to pay the price. Now, under Lin Chen's command, there were thousands of experts with First Transformation, Saint Cultivation, and above. The number of heaven-opening realm experts that he could mobilize was more than 10,000. With their strength, they could quickly sweep through all the rank 6 to rank 9 forces in the sacred boundary. Luo Shuiwe and Princess Xing Yu's eyes trembled. What was Lin Chen trying to do? Li Ziki was completely dumbfounded. What was he trying to do? If this was really going to happen, why did he insist on making a deal with the Jiang family instead of robbing them? Then why did he want to rob them now? Could it be that I misjudged him? Did he defeat the founding Century Alliance just to establish a better hegemony? Was he submissive to the outside world while attacking his own forces? Li Ziki stood in front of Lin Chen angrily. "Your Excellency, what is the meaning of this?" Lin Chen said indifferently, "I don't need to explain to you. If you continue to force me, I will even deal with you and the force behind you." Li Ziki said in a deep voice, "If that's the case, I can only be your enemy." Lin Chen smiled faintly. "Interesting. Instead of using you as a mayfly to shake a tree, why don't you use your eyes to witness it to the end?" Li Ziki was startled. Witness it to the end? The news of the demon-human race's attack spread to every corner of the 36 domains. Rank 9 spread to rank 8, rank 8 spread to rank 7, rank 6 forces, and so on. The current sacred boundary's human race was in a mess. Some sages were prepared to take their families and escape the sacred boundary. Some reclusive sages came out of seclusion, planning to defend to the end and fight to the death. Some took advantage of the chaos, adding to the chaos, and took advantage of the chaos to fish in troubled waters. Some analyzed fiercely like a tiger, threatening to say that the Wuji Heavenly Palace was lying. Some did everything as usual and did not take it seriously. It was not that the human race would unite in times of crisis. On the contrary, the human race, who had been filled with countless desires, would not stop until they died. However, when the sacred boundary was in chaos, what was about to happen next would cause an unprecedented earthquake for the human race in the sacred boundary. Demon-human race held galaxy. The remains of the demon god king were completely destroyed by the 4 great revered elders. And the empress did not pursue this matter. Instead, she acquiesced to the 4 great revered elders' reporting. Blood continent, inside the demonic palace. Since there are no objections, there is one last step left in the preparations. I have decided that in 10 days, we will begin to march and attack the human race. The demon-human kings, under the four great, revered elders, will lead their armies and attack according to the instructions. The first goal is to take the lead in entering the firmament star field, take down the firmament battlefield, and take the human race's sage king domain. When the Empress's cold voice spread throughout the Blood Continent, the entire demon-human race shouted excitedly, "Long live the Empress! We are finally going to attack the human race. Pull the human race's sage king down from that fake throne. The human race's sacred boundary is prepared for our demon-human race." Within the demon-human race's army, a terrifying wave of voices erupted. The four great revered elders and the Empress's army were all coordinated. The demon-human race had completely declared war on the human race. 10,000 years of history, 10,000 years of hatred. The sins and reincarnation of the human race's gods, and the forbearance and madness of the demon-human race. All of the hatred and entanglements would completely erupt here. The Empress, dressed in a large black robe, stood alone on a lonely peak in the Blood Continent. The cold wind was like a knife, whistling on her thin back. No matter what kind of relationship you and I had, after this battle, there will be no more human race in this world. He mumbled to himself like he was in a dream, drifting in the cold wind. 5 days later, in the Dragon World, the Divine Dragon Conference at the peak of Dragon Mountain. The Divine Dragon's dragon aura was like a gift from the gods that could not be extinguished for 10,000 years. The divine dragon's heavenly might that suppressed the ancient times filled every inch of space and time. Within a radius of tens of thousands of miles around Divine Dragon Mountain, no one below the revered dragon's cultivation could get close to half a step. This was a domain that only the great divine dragons of the dragon world could enter. A miracle that only belonged to the divine dragons. Today, all the dragon kings of the primordial dragon clan had gathered at Dragon Mountain. The dragon kings who had previously opposed Lin Shun and supported Lin Shun sat on the peak of the mountain. After reporting the situation, they did not even dare to breathe loudly as they waited for the few figures on the peak of the mountain. Countless dragon clan talismans wandered and disappeared. The few imposing figures on the peak of the mountain were like living legends of the dragon world, immortal and indestructible. As long as they still existed, the dragon clan could exist forever. They were the last legends and history of the dragon clan to date, the 5 great divine dragons. The 5 great divine dragons of the dragon clan that still existed were all present. And the reason why the 5 great divine dragons were all present was because of a condition proposed by a human. Chapter 1810. On top of the Divine Dragon Summit, the Divine Dragons were in a heated discussion. A cold-looking young man in a dragon robe with a dragon horn on his head said coldly, "Humans are always disloyal. If you join forces with them, you'll only be used as a tool. Why don't we just let the humans fight to the death with the demon humans and demons while we reap what we sow?" The primordial azure dragon. This was the humanoid form of a divine dragon. Even though he did not show his true form, he still exuded the might of a divine dragon. When a divine dragon was angry, the sky would change. The primordial azure dragon's anger even caused an energy storm outside the dragon realm. A beautiful woman in a blue palace dress gently rolled up her sleeves. Her actions were elegant and dignified as she said calmly, "Azure Dragon, don't tell me you're using such a lowly method to reject him just because your clone failed to take him down?" This beautiful woman was the extreme hell-watered divine dragon. The primordial azure dragon's divine blood clone had once fought with Lin Shun. At that time, he was caught off guard and injured by Lin Chen's 9 Tribulation Star. Just as he was about to suppress Lin Shun, the extreme hell-water divine dragon's clone interrupted him. He, who had failed to take down Lin Shun, was furious at that time, causing the mystical dragon to lose face. The oldest and most experienced golden-robed man said calmly, "Things are far from that simple. The four great demon clans are no longer what they used to be. They have more than one trump card hidden within their clans. I'm afraid that the four great demon clans still have trump cards up their sleeves. Moreover, in the Great War of the Nine Clans 1,000 years ago, it seemed that the various clans were tied, but in fact, the demon clan was the biggest winner. A new demon emperor was born in one of the demon tribes. The one who spoke was Imperial Divine Dragon. The Imperial Golden Dragon tribe was extremely biased against humans, but Imperial Divine Dragon had a different opinion about them. The moment he spoke, the expressions of the Divine Dragons changed slightly. A new demon emperor was born, a tribe with two demon emperors. Every one of them was on par with the Divine Dragons. Imperial Divine Dragon lowered his head and looked at the elegant white-robed man with a pair of snow-white dragon horns on his head and a cold red-robed man on mountainside. Even our dragon realm was unable to create another divine dragon after the Great War of the Nine Tribes. The two strongest juniors are only at the half-step divine dragon realm. Royal God Dragon said, "Right now, the biggest variable is the number of demon emperors in the demon race. I'm afraid there are more than four of them. Conservatively speaking, just the top-level combat power of the demon race alone is comparable to ours." As soon as he said that, the other four divine dragons fell silent. Royal God Dragon continued, "If Lin Shun can really improve our bloodline, then there's no harm in helping the human race. Most importantly, if his bloodline can improve the bloodline of two of our race's most promising juniors, it might be an opportunity for them to break through to the next realm. Secondly, if we help the humans emerge victorious from this crisis, the threat they pose to us will be the least among all the other races when the humans lose the gods' protection. In a war like this, it's impossible for the human race to hold back too much. If we can help them survive, not only will we be able to gain benefits for the Dragon Clan, but we will also gain an ally that is not too much of a threat, killing two birds with one stone." After pondering for a while, the beautiful woman in the crimson dress, who was transformed from the All Flames Divine Dragon, said hesitantly, "But won't our Dragon Clan become the target of public criticism?" Royal God Dragon smiled faintly. "It'll happen sooner or later. Why don't we let it happen sooner and more quickly? No matter if the demon race wins or the demon race wins, the Dragon Clan will be the next human race if we stand by and do nothing. If we'll be targeted sooner or later, we might as well break through now." The woman in the crimson dress said worriedly, "But what about the demon empress? Her existence is always the most troublesome. Just from the battle in the Holy Penitentiary, she has the combat power to fight against many gods. To face her, we'll need at least 3 or more godly realm experts." The beautiful woman covered her mouth and chuckled. "Regarding this matter, let's leave it to the human race's Lin Shun." According to the information brought back by the Dragon Kings, this little guy even made a trip to the demon race and returned unscathed. This proves that his relationship with the Empress of the demon race is not ordinary. Otherwise, he wouldn't have returned. The green-robed elder took a big gulp and said in amazement, "Looks like the final answer is still the same." The divine dragons looked at each other and made up their minds. It's decided. On Divine Dragon Mountain, the Dragon Kings who were waiting bitterly were suffering. Most of the Dragon Kings still stood on Lin Shen's side after considering many factors. Seeing the Dragon Elders and Dragon Kings whose bloodlines had been upgraded, they immediately put aside their prejudices and stood on the same side. Those dragon clans who once hated the human race and resisted such battles and alliances wanted to scold them loudly, but Lin Shun had given them too much. Therefore, at the level of the Dragon Kings, all the Dragon Kings stood on the same side, regardless of past grudges. But the final decision still had to be made by the Divine Dragons. Finally, after the Divine Dragons' discussion, the 5 figures on the mountain peak moved. A dazzling golden light shone down from the 9 heavens. Stepping on the divine light, Imperial God Dragon slowly walked down the golden path and said loudly, "After discussion, we have unanimously decided to go to the human race's aid. Listen up, Dragon Kings. Coordinate the combat power of all clans. All dragon clans below the primordial dragon clan who are participating in this battle will depart from the dragon world at the fastest speed, go around the firmament star field, and reach the human race's sacred boundary. Within the primordial dragon clan, those with strength of 1,000 Saint Dragon bloodlines will be in charge of commanding the clans. Give your orders immediately, no mistakes. 1,000 Saint Dragon bloodlines meant 1,000 supremacies. The dragon clans participating in this battle were at least comparable to a 9th-level sage, the middle stage of the heaven-opening realm. Finally, Imperial God Dragon let out a roar. Here are the original words of the divine dragons. No matter what grudges each clan has against the human race, focus on the enemy this time. Those who have second thoughts will be punished according to the clan's rules. The divine dragon's words changed the world. The entire dragon world was in an uproar. The storm of the final battle had begun to brew. This time, it would be after the Great War of the 9 clans. The human race, Dragon Clan, Demon Clan, and Demon Clan. The largest war. Sacred Boundary, Flame Domain. Today, the Flame Domain's ancient family, the Fire God Clan, a hidden rank, 9 force, suffered a disaster. Qin Clan Mansion. Lin Shun. The Qin clan has always been neutral and has never offended you. King robbed the Qin clan. The Qin clan master's eyes were wide open, and his eyes were spitting fire. His dark green saint energy swept through the clouds, roaring like a mad dragon. Inside the Cloud Mountain mansion, the silver-robed figure stood on the clan master's seat, playing with the Providence plant pouch in his hand, and laughed mockingly. The Qin clan has quite a lot of treasures. Lin Shun, will take them all. Countless Qin clan experts were furious, and they wanted to surround Lin Shun and fight to the death. Take you my foot. Little brat, you don't know your place. The void broke open, and a giant hand of saint light that could shatter the void came crashing down on Lin Shun. Patriarch, everyone in the Qin clan shouted excitedly, and new hope burst forth in their anger. The Qin clan's patriarch was an ultimate saint that surpassed the category of saint ruler. Since ancient times, 1 in 100 saint kings had entered the legendary reincarnation realm. He was one of the 2 strongest experts in the Qin clan other than the fire god Qin Wanyan. With him taking action, they would definitely be able to suppress Lin Shun. Bang! There was a loud bang, and time and space trembled. Unexpectedly, Lin Shun casually grabbed the air with his 5 fingers and stopped the Qin clan's patriarch's palm. Everyone in the Qin clan's eyes almost fell to the ground. The Qin clan's patriarch's strongest attack was stopped by one hand. Just how strong was this Lin Shun? Chapter 1811. What? The Qin family's patriarch stopped in the sky above the Cloud Mountain mansion, his old eyes filled with disbelief. His reincarnation's sacred realm attack was stopped single-handedly by a brat who was still wet behind the ears. Lin Shun raised his head and smirked. Old man, if you have this strength, why don't you go and fight the demon race? Why make things difficult for an honest child like me? The Qin family's patriarch cursed. Little bastard, don't you have any shame? Lin Shun shrugged. What are you angry for? Can't you afford to play? Look at how much of a loss I suffered. The Qin family's patriarch was so angry that he almost vomited blood. King honest child? Looting the Qin family's many treasuries. Is there such an honest person in this world? And he suffered a loss? The Qin family's patriarch couldn't help but raise his saber and want to kill him. Lin Shun said seriously, That's right. Your Qin family's secret realm still has the quasi-divine artifact and fire god formation left behind by fire god Qin Wanyan. I didn't touch a single hair on it. I suffered a huge loss, okay? Listen, is this what a human is saying? It was like he robbed someone of 500 million, but the other party still had 500 million that he didn't touch, so he suffered a loss. Logic genius. The sacred boundary picked up a ghost. This is 2F** King Bully. Just as the Qin family's patriarch activated his movement technique to stop Lin Shun, intending to fight to the death. A jade-green spatial light flashed. Lin Chen disappeared, leaving the Qin family's experts dumbfounded on the spot. The culprit who looted the Qin family's mansion ran away, just like that. Snowflakes fluttered, and the northern wind blew. Lin Chen, my Qin family and you are irreconcilable, enemies forever. The soaring killing intent was filled with bone-deep hatred and hostility, shaking the entire Yin domain. Similar scenes to the Yin domain's Qin family were still playing out. In the name of Lin Chen, he launched a terrorist operation on various parts of the sacred boundary. At the same time, in the Sage Monarch region, after the Wuji Heavenly Palace held a meeting, the various top forces of the sacred boundary sent representatives to gather in the Sage Monarch region. This time, the representatives decided to meet at the Sage Monarch Domain's Celestial Mountain. In the past, the ceremony to create the Saint Talent ranking also started from this ultimate sky mountain. The divine mountain shot straight into the nine heavens, so high that its peak could not be seen. A group of supreme experts appeared on Ultimate Sky Mountain. Among the masters here today, the weakest was at the Saint King realm. They were all legendary figures of their respective domains. Every Saint King's experience was a legend in the mortal world. Besides this, even the sacred realm of reincarnation that was extremely difficult to find in the past had appeared within Absolute Mountain. The spatial passageway to the Flame Domain has been successfully opened. The same goes for the Yellow region. The spatial passageway between the Green Domain and the Sage Monarch Domain is now connected to the Green Domain. There are 25 8th-ranked sects and 4 9th-ranked organizations participating in the war. When the representatives of the various domains reported the number of experts in the 36 domains, it was shocking. This was the foundation of humanity's sacred boundary, not to mention the experts who had yet to arrive. The number of Saint Kings that arrived at Ultimate Sky Mountain today actually exceeded 500. 500 Saint Kings gathered on Mount Tianshan. This time, they chose to open up spatial passageways in different realms and fight together. At this moment, a middle-aged man in a dragon robe stood up from his seat. The group of Sacred Realm of Reincarnation beside him was slightly surprised. This man was rarely going to express his stance. The eyes of the man in the dragon robe were like two suns, faintly exuding a domineering aura. With a glance, he suppressed the crowd, causing the Saint Kings to look at him in awe. This was a peerless master, a legend that ruled the Sage Monarch Domain, Long Tianqi. He was one of the sages that participated in the creation of the sacred boundary. He had fought and killed countless masters in his life, even the once strongest Ashura tribe master. Although he had yet to become a god, he had reached the peak of the sacred boundary as a quasi-god. In the past, he supervised the Firmament Star Domain and rarely came out. He did not interfere with the worldly affairs of the sacred boundary. Long Tianqi's face was solemn. In this war, the current quasi-gods of our human race will all come out. As the Wuji elders said, we need to wait for the right time. The most important thing is the internal problems of the upper echelons. Once we participate in the war, no one can retreat. His gaze swept across with a dignified aura, as if he was warning them. The Saint Kings nodded in awe. A Saint King said, Your Excellency Long Tianqi, you said that all the quasi-gods of our race will come out. Does this mean that the 2 on the Talent Saint list will also return? As soon as this was said, many Saint Kings focused their attention on the peak of Heaven Exceeding Mountain. On the peak of the mountain, holy mist was entwined, and spiritual light was faintly discernible. Vaguely, there was a throne made of 10 great jade stones, releasing a brilliant holy aura, standing between heaven and earth. That was the highest peak of the sacred boundary. The 10 great thrones were specially created for 10 people. Only the top 10 Saint Kings on the Talent Saint list were qualified to sit on them. As long as one sat on that throne, they would be the peerless pride that led an era, the pillars of the human race's history. Now, there were only 4 people left on the Talent Saint list. The top 3 were rarely seen, and there was rarely any news about them. Long Tianchi nodded and said, "That's right. The top 3 Saint Talents will all come." As soon as this was said, the Saint King's expressions softened slightly. A Saint King suddenly said in surprise, there seems to be someone up there." All the Saint Kings looked up and saw that there was actually a figure strolling in the sea of clouds at the peak of Heaven End Mountain, an elegant young man in a snow-white robe with a jade belt around his waist, shining brightly. He walked on the sea of clouds and walked step by step to the 10 supreme thrones. In the end, under the watchful eyes of everyone, he actually sat on the highest throne at the peak of the mountain with ease. The first on the Talent Saint list had returned? No, that wasn't the first on the Talent Saint list. He was too young. Long Tianchi narrowed his eyes. Although he didn't pay attention seriously, someone could actually pass through the barrier and sneak in under his nose. This person's strength was extraordinary. I remember now. This guy is Lin Shun. A Saint King was shocked and lost his voice. His words stirred up 1,000 waves. Lin Shun? Could it be that the monster who killed the founding Century Alliance and destroyed 6 of the top 10 on the Talent Saint list? The Saint Kings stood up and stared at the peak of the mountain. Lin Shun sat on the first throne, and the scenery of the sage monarch domain entered his eyes. Fate was like a rainbow, and purple chi came from the east. Lin Shun smiled casually. The first position on the Talent Saint list isn't that good after all. 5 reincarnation saints floated in the air, glaring at him with murderous intent. They shouted coldly, "Lin Shun, what are you doing here? You killed 6 of the human race's peerless saint talents. Do you still want to tarnish the honor of the Talent Saint list?" These reincarnation saints had a lot to do with the saint talents that had been killed. Lin Shun shrugged and said mockingly, "Don't be so angry. Your family has been robbed." The 5 reincarnation sage realm experts who stood out to express their stance were stunned. Almost as soon as Lin Shun finished speaking, an urgent message from their family or sect was transmitted to them. When the second patriarch of the Qin family in the Flame Domain received the message from his family, he was instantly furious. "Lin Shun, I'll kill you. How dare you touch the Shadow Divine Pavilion? Lin Shun, you're courting death." When the 5 reincarnation saints were enraged, Long Tianchi observed their expressions, waiting to see what would happen. Before the 5 of them could make a move, a young and deep voice reverberated in the sky. "Everyone, let me deal with this guy." The 5 reincarnation saints were stunned at first, but then they were overjoyed. Could it be that lord? It's Wudi. Wudi is back. Lin Shun is finished. Lin Shun narrowed his eyes. The first on the Talent Saint list? Finally, someone who can fight. Chapter 18:12. All the Saint Kings looked at the other side of the clouds. The figure strolling in the clouds slowly walked down. His figure was tall, and he stepped on a golden sun. He was like a rising sun god, burning the world. His aura was vigorous, and his eyes were red. He was wearing golden armor, and his entire body was filled with extreme pressure. The man in golden armor lowered his head and looked over. The Saint Kings were frightened. Number 1 on the Saint Talent list, Qin Wudi, the current top of the Saint Talent list, the tyrant who ruled over the 36 domains of the sacred boundary. When everyone saw him, there were only 2 words: invincible. He was born invincible. This was the case in the world. There were rumors that he had entered the reincarnation saint realm, or even higher. This person was the number 1 legend of the sacred boundary. He was born in the fire god family since he was young, but in the beginning, he was an extremely rare trash. He was also the son of a concubine and was not liked. However, he obtained some kind of fortuitous encounter and went against the heavens. He fought all the way until he was invincible among his peers. He ruled the Saint Talent list with an invincible attitude. This caused the number 1 throne of the Saint Talent list, which had been empty for tens of thousands of years, to welcome its first owner. Qin Wudi looked straight at Lin Shun and smiled. "Lin Shun, I've heard a lot about you. This number 1 throne, is it comfortable to sit on?" Lin Chen slowly stood up from a number one throne and smiled cynically. It's not comfortable. The scenery that the number one can see is just like that. I'm also number one, I understand. Qin Wudi revealed a smile for the first time. Oh, which number one are you? Lin Shun straightened his chest and said matter-of-factly, the number one handsome man in the sacred boundary. I deserve the title. All the Saint Kings, what a good title. You're probably the number one shameless man in the sacred boundary. Then, the Saint Kings received an emergency message, and their faces changed. Even the Saint Kings present were no exception. All the sects and forces they belonged to were attacked. The attackers were led by Lin Shun, or Lin Chen's subordinates. All the Saint Kings glared at Lin Shun. This guy, as a human, not only did he not help at such a critical juncture, he even King added insult to injury. The Sage King, who had a slightly favorable impression of Lin Shun, had vanished into thin air at this moment. All he felt for Lin Shun was a strong, killing intent. Traitors were the most hateful. This was especially true for traitors who stabbed them in the back, right before a great war between the races. Traitors who kicked them while they were down were the most unacceptable. If this brat was not eliminated, he would be a great threat to the human race. Perhaps the entire plan of the sacred boundary of the human race would be ruined because of him. If we don't kill Lin Shun, the threat of humanity's sacred boundary will always exist. Now is the best time. Lord Long Tianqi and Qin Wudi have personally appeared. There are also experts from various clans here. Let's besiege him together. I thought he was a righteous junior, but he turned out to be worse than a beast. Facing the rage of the Sage Kings, Long Tianqi's gaze was deep as he stared at Lin Shun. He did not make any reaction. Above the clouds, Qin Wudi's gaze was like a sword. He could feel the rage of the Sage Kings, but he said disapprovingly, I can feel your actions in the Qin clan. You have no ill intentions. What is your goal? What is your intention to stir up hatred within the human race of the sacred boundary? Lin Chen shrugged. My goal is simple. I want to show my strength to the sacred boundary and then rob them to my heart's content. Can't you see how simple it is? Qin Wudi said coldly. It's fine if you don't want to say it. This is not a place you should be. Qin Wudi's battle intent soared to the sky. He said word by word, Lin Shun, take 10 of my moves. If you can, I'll let you go. If you can't, then tell me your goal. Otherwise, die. Lin Shun laughed mockingly. You don't look handsome, but you have a big mouth. What are you pretending for? You're number one on the Saint Talent list, but today you'll fall below the number one most handsome person in the sacred boundary. Rumble. The two of them activated their Sage Qi, and half of the Sage Monarch domain shook violently. The Sage Kings were shocked and kept retreating. Qin Wudi had reached a new realm, quasi-god realm. As long as one reached this realm, entering the immortal state was just a matter of time. However, Lin Shun was just as terrifying. Although he had not become a quasi-god, the 116 sage points around him were as bright as stars. He was not a quasi-god, but he was better than one. The space of the Sage Monarch domain was much more stable than other domains. Even so, it was facing the risk of a large area shattering. Long Tianqi was interested. What would the result of the battle between the two most powerful young people of this generation? No matter which side it was, they were both legends of the sacred boundary. Qin Wudi waved his hand, and a crimson halberd appeared in his hand. He attacked with the halberd. Mighty 3 halberds. 3 crimson halberds that divided heaven and earth tore through the clouds of the Sage Monarch domain and smashed down. The demon-slaying spear appeared out of thin air. With the spear in hand, Lin Shin stepped on the peak of heaven exceeding mountain and rushed into the sky. He danced with the spear, and dark lightning swept across the sky. The vast and majestic lightning was like an electric dragon, mixed with layers of spear shadows. It was like a torrential rain of pear blossoms, layer by layer, and in an instant, it collided with the mighty 3 halberds. Chi! Bang! 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 The terrifying explosion made the sage monarch domain tremble. The sage kings were stunned. The aftermath of the collision between the two seemed to collapse the entire sky, and it fell into darkness. The peak of heaven exceeding mountain was shrouded by divine power, and the divine mountain stood still. Heaven exceeding mountain was created by the power of the gods. It was protected by divine power. It would not collapse easily. Ha ha! Awesome! Again, Lin Chen channeled his saint power and flicked his spear. Lightning flashed suddenly, and the spear was like a dragon. Qin Wudi swung his halberd violently, and the crimson light split the sky and fought with the lightning in an instant. The terrifying saint power and the divine light that had slightly transformed into divine power tangled together. Lin Chen flew in the sky, and Qin Wudi stepped on the crimson light. The crimson cloud shadows and the crimson light danced wildly. The two rushed forward and fought crazily, tit for tat. Clang, clang, clang. The spear and halberd collided, and a series of sparks were rapidly produced. The terrifying aftermath overflowed and tore the clouds apart. Giant python-like spatial cracks spread for millions of miles, crisscrossing, and the entire extreme east of the sage monarch domain fell into chaos. What a terrifying battle. This is too ridiculous. Didn't they say that when this kid fought with the Founding Era Alliance, he was only a sage king? Even if he had external help, it shouldn't be so abnormal. How long had it been? And Lin Chen had transformed again. His cultivation speed was like a ghost. They didn't even dare to guess. The two of them had already exchanged more than 10 moves, but neither of them wanted to stop. It was as if they had met their match, and neither of them wanted to stop at this moment. Illusory, flaming demonic palm. Qin Wudi's halberd technique was mixed with a palm technique, the 5-colored heavenly fire illusory palm. 9 severing sky burning palm. Lin Chen swung his spear with one hand, and 9 fiery dragons surged out of his palm, burning the world as he smashed his palm forward. This was the supreme technique of the Divine Flame Palace, an advanced orange-grade technique that was one step higher than the 9-layered sky-burning palm. The two ancestors had taught Lin Chen. Chi, boom. The two of them retreated. Lin Chen took 5 steps back, and Qin Wudi took 4 steps back. The latter's every step was heavier. Qin Wudi swapped his halberd for his bow, and a crystal-clear jade bone arrow wrapped in dense dragon talismans emanated the aura of a divine dragon. The bone arrow was knocked on the bowstring and aimed at Lin Chen. This is one of Qin Wudi's trump cards, the Divine Bone Dragon Arrow. Qin Wudi is going to fight him to the end. Didn't they say 10 moves? The sage monarchs were shocked. The number 1 on the Sacred Boundaries Genius Saint list was going to use his trump card to deal with Lin Chen. Lin Chen. He's anxious, he's anxious, he's anxious. He was so eccentric. Chapter 1813. The Divine Dragon Bone Arrow was made from a piece of Divine Dragon Bone. It was not a Saint artifact, but it was even stronger than a Saint artifact. Qin Wudi had obtained this bone arrow when he was a Saint King. With it, the number of strong enemies he had killed kept increasing. With one arrow, heaven and earth would collapse. He had even killed a reincarnation Saint Realm expert before. Lin Chen raised his eyebrows and teased. Oh, who are you trying to scare with a bow? Don't think that you're the only one who knows how to shoot. My men from the Dark Horse organization can go in and out 7 times. Not every man can be said to be a great shooter. My Black Horse organization will shoot people like you one by one. Buzz. Lightning flashed in Lin Chen's palm as starlight flickered. Lin Chen pulled the 9-cloud star fury bow and used ambolite. Colorful lights shone between Lin Chen's 5 fingers. The lightning's saint power condensed into an arrow, and the arrow light was like a roaring fire dragon. Qin Wudi's battle intent was aroused. Good. Qin Wudi pulled the bowstring, and his posture was like he's shooting the sun. He shot an arrow over. The dragon's roar shook the heavens and earth. A divine dragon bone arrow shot over. Lin Chen activated the burning sky arrow. An arrow shot out explosively. Lightning and fire intertwined with each other like a fire dragon, and in the blink of an eye, it split into two. Chi! Bang! It was yet another terrifying clash. Lin Chen's 5 arrows defeated his 1 arrow. The sea of lightning filled the air. Lightning flashed, and flames raged. The Saint Monarch region was shocked. Many experts looked over in shock. They stared in the direction of the Saint Monarch region, as if they had seen a ghost. Just what kind of experts could cause such a scene? Reincarnation? Saint Realm? No, it was far more than that. Fortunately, many forces and sects had already evacuated. Otherwise, the impact of this battle would not be so simple. Peak of heaven exceeding mountain. The two stood in the sea of fire. Qin Wudi waved his hand, and the slightly dimmed divine dragon bone arrow flew back. The corner of his mouth could not help but raise in excitement. That was the excitement of finally finding an opponent. Lin Chen smiled playfully. As expected of the number 1 on the Saint talent ranking. You're quite something. Lin Chen looked around at the murderous and hostile gazes and said with satisfaction, although I wanted to kill you, I've already done what I had to do. Right now, I have more important things to do, so I won't keep you company. Qin Wudi frowned and coldly said, Lin Chen, you want to escape? Lin Chen shrugged. Don't think too much. As long as we fight, I'll win anyway. In any case, I'm going to win. The corners of the Saint King's mouths twitched. Arrogant. This brat was too arrogant. Lin Chen waved his hand and said indifferently, that's all. I still have things to do. Let's have supper together when you're free. Bye. Qin Wudi was furious. He furrowed his brows and shouted, I won't allow you to run. Let's fight to our heart's content. Lin Chen raised his hand and snapped his fingers. Smack! His figure gradually disappeared. Before disappearing, Lin Chen chuckled. As a number 1 on the Saint talent ranking, you're not bad. You can fight my clone to a standstill. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Chen's figure disappeared into the starlight in the sky. He didn't travel through space, nor did he use spatial secret techniques. He really disappeared. At the peak of heaven exceeding mountain, all the Saint Kings were dumbfounded. Even Long Tianqi was a little stunned. Qin Wudi was even more stunned on the spot. S-clone? The corners of the Saint King's mouths twitched. What the F***CK? Lin Chen, who was on par with the number 1 on the Saint talent ranking, was actually just a clone? He even took the trump card of the number 1 on the Saint talent ranking head-on. The number 1 on the Saint talent ranking, who had been arrogant and invincible all his life, fought in the firmament battlefield, defeated the elites of various races, ignored all kinds of rules, and came out unscathed. This was the first time he had encountered the most unexpected shock in his life. Qin Wudi muttered to himself. He actually only used a clone. His clone was already so powerful. Then, how strong was his original body? The Saint Kings looked at each other in astonishment. During the Founding Era battle, Lin Chen already had the battle power to destroy the Founding Era Alliance. Then, how strong was he now? It was terrifying to think about. Was he still human? Lin Chen's words echoed in everyone's mind. Anyway, I won. It was actually the F***King truth. It was unknown, which Saint King was so shocked that he muttered to himself. He's actually really an honest child. Mysterious realm, Dragon Palace. Lin Chen stared at Princess Xingyue. The divine dragon's edict was engraved on her delicate snow-white palm. When it flickered slightly, Princess Xingyue received a message unique to the Dragon Clan. A moment later, a complicated smile appeared on her beautiful face. Congratulations, Lin Chen. The divine dragons of the Dragon Clan have agreed to your conditions. Luo Shueiyue nodded excitedly. Yes, the Dragon Clan's army will begin to arrive at the sacred boundary in a month's time. The 5 divine dragons will personally go from the desolate Antiquity Dragon Clan to the Primordial Dragon Clan, the Primordial Dragon Clan, and the Primordial Dragon Clan. All of them will come out in full force, and support will be endless. When Lin Chen heard this, he raised his eyebrows, and his face lit up with joy. This exciting news was beyond his expectations. He thought that the desolate Antiquity Dragon clan could only send out half of their elites at most. He didn't expect that the entire clan would come out in full force. The Dragon clan was planning to King play a card stud. Lin Chen grinned. A card stud, huh? I like it. After saying that, Lin Shun crushed the spatial jade slip given to him by the everlasting old man. Blood Realm, Chaotic Black Realm. Bang, bang. More than a dozen heaven-opening realm cultivators were knocked to the ground, vomiting blood and injured. Their eyes were wide open, and the purple-robed man in the lead roared. Who the hell are you? I've killed a lot of people. If you want to have King kill us, just kill us. What's the point of humiliating us in battle? The two black-robed men said indifferently. Because you're trash at the edge of the sacred boundary. You're completely useless trash. You don't contribute to the sacred boundary war, and you like to kill everywhere. We're here on the orders of our lord, Lin Chun, to cripple you. Pa! A mysterious black-robed man broke his limbs, and a ladder howled in pain. The two of them turned around and took their Providence plant pouches before leaving. My lord, Lin Chun, has orders to spare your lives and let you become food for the demon humans and demons. After saying that, the two of them teleported and disappeared. Roar! It's actually him, Lin Chun. This dog thief stole my sect and humiliated my family. I'll kill him even if I have to risk my life. I want to know where he is. Even if I die, I'll bite a piece of his flesh. The Blood Realm was filled with condemnation of Lin Chun. No, it should be said that it was the entire sacred boundary. Xuanyu, Yin Realm, Huang Realm, Man Realm, Qian Realm, Spirit Realm, Chun Realm, Ominous Realm, Song Realm, Gu Realm, War Realm, and so on. Those who had once admired Lin Chun. Those who had once been jealous of Lin Chun. Those who had once praised Lin Chun. All of them had turned into his enemies. A large number of human experts in the 36 realms had become enemies with Lin Chun. From a rank 9 to a rank 4, Lin Chun was fair to everyone. He provoked everyone. He was truly an enemy of the entire world. Lin Chun was at the level where he would be besieged if he was seen outside. A day later, in the Dragon Palace, Limitless Old Man arrived and couldn't help but curse. Lin Chun, what are you doing? Tell your servants to stop. Why are you causing internal strife at this juncture? Are you crazy? Lin Chun calmly tasted his tea and said slowly, Senior Limitless, you can give me pointers here, but you can't point at me. I, Lin Chun, do things my entire life. It's not up to you to teach me how to do things. Limitless Old Man. Crazy, you must be crazy. Chapter 1814. Qianing Shua, who was standing beside the everlasting old man, opened her red lips slightly. Seeing this, a certain Lin Chuan thought wickedly, I won't poke her mouth. The beauty's heart could not calm down. Lin Chun had actually roped in the entire dragon race as an ally of the human race. From the 5 great divine dragons to the ancient dragon race, they would all rush to the human race's sacred boundary in the future and come out in full force. What kind of heaven-defying move was this to move the dragon race? If this news was released, it would definitely encourage the entire human race in the sacred boundary. The everlasting old man couldn't help but facepalm. 1 head, 2 heads. Why did this kid never stop causing trouble? The current human race in the sacred boundary could be said to be in a state of disunity. The everlasting old man had even planned to nurture Lin Chun into the number 1 person in the sacred boundary after the gods. With him as the leader, he would lead the human race to resist the invasion of the other races. But who would have thought that this guy would actually do such a thing? Who could withstand this? It completely disrupted the everlasting old man's plan. The current sacred boundary was without a leader. With Lin Chen's battle strength, reputation, and actions, especially the fact that he had brought the entire dragon race to help, he should have been the most suitable candidate. Even with the everlasting old man's wisdom, he couldn't help but say angrily, "What are you planning? With your ability and the fact that you brought the entire dragon race to help the human race, you are qualified to be the leader of the human race." Lin Chen laughed mockingly. "What bullsh asterisk T leader? I'm not interested. In the end, this war is just to save my woman. The human race in the sacred boundary is just collateral." The everlasting old man, he couldn't understand. This kid had such magnanimity, strength, and courage. Why wasn't he willing to take on this heavy responsibility? This was a chance to become the only overlord of the sacred boundary. If he could survive this crisis, he would be the supreme ruler of the human race in the sacred boundary. The sacred boundary would be at his fingertips. The human race's faith in the gods would turn into Lin Chen's believers. The only supreme ruler of the human race. He actually gave up this position. The everlasting old man took a deep look at Lin Chen and said meaningfully, "Can this old man trust you?" Lin Chen smiled casually and said, "At the very least, I will participate in the battle as promised. You can find someone else to do the heavy lifting." The everlasting old man sighed. Then the reinforcements of the dragon race, Lin Chen shrugged. "Just do in your name. Just say that you brought it here and it has nothing to do with me." The everlasting old man couldn't help but laugh as he scolded, "You brat, are you trying to drag this old man into the battlefield?" Lin Chen rubbed his chin and smiled playfully. "That's what you said. I didn't say anything. All right, according to our agreement, give me the item. Otherwise, I'll take my family and run away, breaking the agreement with the Dragon Clan. You can clean up your own mess." Everlasting old man said, "You're ruthless." With that, he ordered the Jiang family head of the heavenly sacred region to untie the bell on the long-horned white goat. The Jiang family head looked at Lin Chen fearfully and handed the supreme grade metal attribute, Odd Crystal, to Lin Chen. "Sir Lin Chen, this is the supreme grade metal attribute, Odd Crystal, that has been passed down for thousands of years in my Jiang family. We used its energy to cultivate and passed it down for countless generations. Now, I'm giving it to you. I hope you can contribute to the battle of the human race." The moment he got the supreme grade metal attribute, Odd Crystal, Lin Chen couldn't help but be excited. He finally got it. The sixth piece of the war god set. The final material for the ultimate armor. The everlasting old man got up and shook his head. Since the agreement has been reached, this old man has to get busy. Sigh, I'm already so old, yet I still have to be busy. Since Lin Chen wasn't going to be the leader of this war, he could only let the everlasting old man do it himself. Lin Chen smiled. "Then I won't send you off." When he left, the corners of the everlasting old man's mouth curled up slightly, and the Jiang family head heaved a sigh of relief. The content of the secret transmission between the two was immediately eavesdropped by Lin Chen, who had awakened his perception, and he was struck by lightning. "Senior everlasting old man, thank you for coming to the Jiang family earlier. This odd crystal can play such a huge role. Otherwise, the Jiang family would have sold the odd crystal to this child. Having a painful disaster staying in the Jiang family every day is simply too much. Thank you for informing this old man. Yes, now that our human race has strong reinforcements, there's still hope for the human race. Don't let your guard down. The dragon race isn't ordinary." The two gradually went away and escaped into the void. The content of their secret transmission was completely heard by Lin Chen. Lin Chen's awakened perception made it impossible for any expert to hide their voice transmission in front of him. The everlasting old man was no exception. Lin Chen's face turned red with anger, and he almost cursed out loud. "Damn, Brother Chen, I was actually set up, damn. I've always been the one setting up traps for others. How can there be a time when others set me up? I'll set you up, the monkey everlasting old man." Lin Chen was clearly set up. The older the ginger, the spicier it was, there were still many tricks. "Damn." Lin Chen shook his head and laughed. "However, the essence of what I have to do hasn't changed. In order to stop Yao, Lin Shun was prepared to cooperate with the dragon race. There's only one thing left to do now. System. Heavenly Tao Attribute Pickup System version 8.0. Host. Lin Shun. Cultivation. Late stage 6th Heaven Sage Realm. High stage Saint Essence. 1. 3 billion points. Limit power. 4. 5 million supreme power. Flesh Shell Awakening plus 500%. High stage Saint Blood. 900 million points. Saint Spiritual Power. 99. 92 billion. Mid-stage Primordial Spirit Realm. Saint Cultivation Technique Soul Essence. 35 billion points. Saint Rune Energy. 59. 9 billion points. Top-level Heavenly Tao. 53 billion points. Top-level Talent Points. 19 billion points. Intermediate Set Essence. 1. 0. 3 million points. Intermediate Strengthening Points. 968. For billion points. Saint Elemental Energy. Fire Element 589 billion points. Earth Element 587. 2 billion points. Wood Element 581. 2 billion points. Metal Element 583. 6 billion points. Water Element 483. 5 billion points. Lightning Element 589 billion points. Wind Element 485. 7 billion points. Light Element 588. For billion points. Dark Element 588. For billion points. Set Column. 5 pieces of Golden War God Set. Incomplete. War God Armor Blueprint. Special Attribute Treasures. 10 top-grade Metal Element Odd Crystals. 1 top-grade Fire Element Odd Crystal. 12 Saint Tool Upgrade Vouchers. A random Orange Tier Alchemy Handprint Fragment. 2/5. 7 Orange Tier Exclusive Talent Treasure Chests. Talent Column. Bloodline Status Column. Cultivation Technique Status Column. Life Awakening Column. Characteristic Rune Column. Divine Spark Column. Divine Elephant Divine Spark. Cooling down. Remaining 33 days to activate. Immortal Divine Spark Fragment. 2/3. System. I want to create the 6th piece of the War God Set. Host is creating the 6th piece of the War God Set. The Ultimate Armor. Materials required. 10 feet of pure gold divine iron. 9 heavenly stars. 10 top-grade metal element odd crystals. 3 million points of top-level heaven Tao. 1,000 billion points of set essence. Host has met the material requirements. Beginning production. Production complete. Congratulations to Host for obtaining the 6th piece of the War God Set, the Ultimate Armor. Host's excess materials have been converted into energy for the Ultimate Armor. A dazzling golden helmet appeared out of nowhere. The sides of the armor were like sharp dragon horns, and the golden stripes were like fish dragons. The center of the helmet was inlaid with a dragon scale-like star jade. War God Set, the 6th piece. Ultimate Armor, 36% charged. Lin Chen's lips trembled, and his heart trembled. The strongest trump card was here. However, Lin Shun seemed to have thought of something and hurriedly asked, System, didn't you say there was an additional weapon? Where's the weapon? Host is not completely fused with the War God Set and is unable to create an additional weapon. Lin Shun, who was sitting in the Dragon Palace, was stunned. What the hell? Wasn't the collection complete? Why did it still have to fuse? Lin Shun scolded. Damn, are you King cheating me? I've already collected all the pieces, and you're telling me it hasn't been fused? Note, the 6 pieces of the War God Set are not fully charged and cannot be fused into a complete War God Set. Lin Chen's mouth twitched. Good fella, you were waiting for me. Chapter 1815. Other than the Ultimate Armor, Lin Chen's other 5 pieces of the War God Armor had already been fully charged to 99%. The higher the percentage of the War God Armor, the harder it was to charge. Lin Chen's current strength was far from being able to fully utilize the 5 pieces of the War God Armor, so he did not immediately charge them to the maximum. System. Charge all my intermediate set essences to the 6 pieces of the War God Armor. Host currently has 1. 3 million intermediate set essences, beginning charging. Charging complete, set list, ultimate arm guard 100%, ultimate leg guard 100%, ultimate armor 100%, ultimate armor to 96%. Oh no, Lin Chen's heart skipped a beat. It was actually stuck at this juncture. Lord, the things you looted from the Chen region are all here. At this time, Jiang Taishu walked into the Dragon Palace and respectfully handed over many fate plant pouches. Lin Chun received it and immediately dismantled all of the holy equipment without hesitation. The holy equipment set's essence attribute he obtained was still able to charge the war god's ultimate armor. The higher the percentage, the more difficult it was to charge. Jiang Taishu continued, Lord, the Dragon Race's request is to first upgrade the bloodline of the Dragon Kings. There will be more batches of Dragon Kings coming to receive the upgrade. The Dragon Race's army was moving, and their numbers were terrifying. That was the entire Dragon Race's number. They were unable to pass through the special space tunnel between the Dragon World and the Mystic region. The Dragon World planned to first send a small portion of their elites in combat strength to upgrade their combat strength. Lin Chen nodded. That's exactly what I was thinking. Let them come. I will arrange for my doppelganger to take care of it. With that, Lin Chen called back a doppelganger. After participating in the battle with the demonic tribe, Lin Chen's strengthening points had reached an unprecedented peak. As long as it was not to upgrade the bloodline of the 5 divine dragons, it should be enough. After the doppelganger left with Jiang Taishu, Lin Chun fell into deep thought. There aren't many high-level sacred artifacts left in the sacred boundary. Although the Tier 9 sacred artifact set essences are considerable, there aren't many of them. If the quality is not enough, I can only gamble on quantity. Lin Chun gave the task of finding large amounts of sacred artifacts to his servants. Even if he had to make the entire world his enemy and become the foremost enemy of the sacred boundary, he had to bring back enough sacred artifacts. Lin Chun stood up. He left his avatar in the Dragon Palace and stepped on the Dragon King to soar into the sky. Next, it was time to wait for the arrival of the great battle. In this unprecedented war, Lin Chen's opponent was the Devil Emperor who had existed for tens of thousands of years, the Devil Race. There is also the honorable elder of the demon race with heaven-defying talent, the peerless Empress. No one knew where history would lead. If he won, everyone would be happy. If he lost, he would be consigned to eternal damnation. As the war approached, Lin Chen only wanted to quickly return to the side of his loved ones. Immortal Dawn Ruins. In a secluded valley, there was a small bridge over flowing water. Spiritual butterflies fluttered in the air, and the surroundings were overflowing with immortal aura. It was like a paradise on earth that was hard to find in this world. Lin Chen once again returned to the ruins. He was alone at the peak of the secluded valley. Her fine black hair was like a waterfall. Her beautiful features were picturesque, radiant like a clear lotus. When she looked into the distance, her green eyes were filled with hope. Her gaze froze. The world in her eyes was like a tranquil and leisurely painting of a fairyland, causing Lin Chun to be dumbfounded. The beauty was as beautiful as a fairy descending to the mortal world. The fairy looked around. When she saw the youth, she raised her eyebrows and said happily, "Why are you back? Have you finished the sacred boundary?" Lin Chun said helplessly, "There is still one last step. Whether I live or die, it will be decided by this step." Ning Qingxuan's heart tightened, faintly stabbing. She rode the wind and came to the youth's side. She held his palm tightly. Lin Chen looked around and found that the number of people near the Immortal Dawn ruins had decreased. He could not help but ask in surprise, "Right, where is everyone?" The fairy said, "Sister Bai Ruoyan and Sister Lung Yuechi have returned to the 9 provinces." Sister Bai Ruoyan said that she has grasped the secret of the eternal sacred fire and wants to use it to help you. Everyone from the Realm Pagoda and Pill region, as well as the seniors from Sword region and Purple Cloud King Valley, have all returned to the sacred boundary, saying that they want to help you. Lin Chen's expression changed slightly. Before he could say anything, Fairy Ning's slender fingers pressed on the youth's lips and smiled. Haven't you experienced that feeling yourself? Not doing anything, but waiting for fate to arrive. How could you be willing to do that easily? Although everyone is under your protection, none of them are really willing to hand over their fate to someone else. Even if they die, they will die together. His heart throbbed, as if it was continuously beaten by a drum. After a few breaths, Lin Chun sighed deeply, revealing a rare sense of helplessness. Lin Chun said to the fairy, "What about you?" Ning Qingxian stared at the youth's eyes. The light was bright, pure, and deep, just like when she first met him. It was as if he was born like this. It was as if nothing had changed him. Ning Qingshuan's voice was pleasant and slightly resentful. "I'm waiting for you." Lin Chun was stunned. In the next moment, the fairy smiled sweetly, beautiful and dazzling, like an untainted green lotus. Her smile was as pure as jade, full of longing. "I feel that you will come back. I feel that you will definitely come back to see me, so I'm waiting for you. I know that you have more important things to do, and my heart is burning like fire thinking about you. I can't wait to immediately go to the sacred boundary to see you, but I can't help you. At least, I won't cause you trouble, so—" The fairy's snow-like cheeks were dyed red, and she quietly nestled against his chest, softly speaking. "So, I'm waiting for you." Hearing this, Lin Chen's heart seemed to be deeply touched. He hugged the fairy's soft and slender waist, greedily sucking in her breath. Lin Chen suddenly smiled. "Our story, where did it begin?" Ning Qingshuan's smile was like a flower, and her cheeks were dyed red. "From when you said you wanted to touch me, it began." "Ha ha!" Lin Chen laughed loudly. "I thought you didn't remember. After this matter, as long as I'm still alive, I'll go find Uncle Ning to propose marriage and officially marry you." The fairy in his arms trembled, and she peacefully nestled in his arms, 2 lines of tears of happiness flowing down her jade cheeks. The fairy softly whispered, "Everything is up to you." Lin Chen sealed the power of his flesh shell and said with a naughty smile, "You said it yourself. That's what you said. There's still plenty of time in the future." He hugged her even tighter. Fairy Ning let out a delicate cry, and her cheeks were dyed red, absolutely beautiful. "Why are you so impatient?" "It's not me who's impatient. It's him." Ing. Multicolored clouds lingered in the ancient ruins, and the picturesque light sprinkled on the sea of flowers in the valley, beautiful and full of spring. 2 figures swayed slightly, just like that day when he saved the fairy from the fake god. When she descended to the mortal world, she was hesitant yet pleasantly surprised, painful yet happy. Looking at the young man's unchanging appearance, the fairy gently stroked the sweat on his face and shyly smiled back at him. Immortal multicolored light sprinkled down to her flawless skin that could be blown away by a gust of wind. The brilliance was moving, and she was extremely beautiful. It was as if she was draped in an immortal dress that overflowed with light and color. Lin Chen's heartbeat quickened as he watched. The beauty in his embrace simply couldn't compare to even 1% of a heavenly immortal's beauty, and she was even more beautiful. The host continues to activate the orange rank innate skill dual cultivation union, currently nourishing both parties' cultivations after an unknown amount of time. A languid and tired, elegant voice echoed in the sea of flowers. "This isn't it too long? You'll have to ask it." "Darling Lin, system, activate the awakening function. Isn't there a function that has a twist?" "System, you want to awaken even this. Are you still human?" Chapter 1816. After Lin Chun returned to the Immortal Dawn ancient ruins, time flew by quickly. 15 days later, 2 beautiful figures ran over from the sea of flowers in the ancient ruins. "Hee, mother, look, I told you the providence here is very strong, and it's safe." Bai Qianqian held her mother's hand and giggled. The young girl's smiling face was like a pure white lotus, untainted by dust. Madam Bai rebuked. Slow down. You came to other people's place. What if? Bai Qianqian suddenly exclaimed. Mother, what's that? The mother and daughter looked carefully. In the swaying sea of flowers at the foot of the gorge, two naked figures were faintly discernible. Bai Qianqian didn't react in time, but the experienced Madam Auspicious Beast immediately blushed and spat out a mouthful of saliva. Madam Bai covered her daughter's eyes and pretended to be calm. Their master is here. He doesn't welcome us. Let's go back. Bai Qianqian pouted. This is Master Lin Chen's place. Who dares to not welcome me? I'll let Master beat him up. Madam Bai said. I said he doesn't welcome you. So he doesn't welcome you. Didn't you listen to your mother? You keep causing trouble for Master Lin Chen. You're making him hate you. Bai Qianqian shook her head as if she had grasped the young girl's weakness. I don't want Master to hate Qianqian. Then let's go back. The beautiful woman glanced at the sea of flowers and muttered, How majestic. Then she left with the young girl. After walking down the mountain, Bai Qianqian asked curiously, Mother, why did you cover my eyes just now? I wonder what Kong Kong and the others are doing. The beautiful woman covered her mouth and chuckled. They have feelings for each other over time. The young girl was puzzled. Feelings for each other over time? So hard to understand. A month passed in the blink of an eye. In the span of a month, the changes that had occurred in the holy world could be described as several major earthquakes. The first was the news released by the everlasting old man. The entire dragon race was going to reinforce the human race's 36 regions in the sacred boundary. When the battle started, anyone who saw the dragon race in the 36 regions would be treated as allies. As soon as these words were spoken, it was like a powerful shot of adrenaline to the countless experts of the sacred boundary. Considering how famous Patriarch Everlasting was, and how he had joined forces with the Dragonfolk, he was now the rightful leader of the Sage Monarch domain. Even though many human powerhouses had a deep grudge against the Dragon Clan, the hatred between them was as deep as the sea. However, the Everlasting Old Man had clearly forbidden them from attacking the dragon race. Otherwise, they would be regarded as traitors of the human race. Once the ban was issued, no matter how great the hatred was, they had to temporarily put it aside. The same was true for the Dragon Clan. The second big news was about Lin Chen's servants. When Lin Chen's servants traveled to the afterlife to research new pill recipes, they had another fortuitous encounter. 4 new Saint Kings were added to their ranks, and the Saint King's avatar was showered with extravagant extravagance, shocking the various regions. Moreover, Lin Chen's servants not only robbed and bullied the major sects, they didn't even spare the merchant groups. All of their goods were plundered clean, wherever they went. They simply bullied countless forces within the sacred boundary. Most importantly, they moved very quickly, and were at the 9th level of the Sage Opening Heaven realm, targeting those below rank 7. Rank 1 to rank 5 sages targeted rank 8 forces. Rank 6 cultivation level and Divine Flame Palace chose peak rank 8 and rank 9 forces. Especially Lin Chen's 17-people legendary team. They could fight, run, trap, and rob. When they appeared, ordinary grade, 9 forces would not be able to withstand their attacks. However, the most serious was Lin Chen's phantom clones. Lin Chen's clones were simply challenging a rank 9 sect alone. No, it was not wrong to say that they were challenging multiple rank 9 sects alone. The clones' battle strength was close to the number 1 on the Saint Talent board. What was even more terrifying was that there were more than 5 clones that were still moving. This was equivalent to 5 number 1 on the Saint Talent board crazily robbing. Who the F***CK could withstand this? Even if the rank 9 sects intended to join forces and make preparations in advance, it was simply impossible to guard against. Every time Lin Chen's phantom clones arrived, other than some life-saving trump cards of the rank 9 sects, basically all the holy artifacts were plundered. He even left a sentence, "I'll definitely do it next time." The current sacred boundary was full of curses and disdain for Lin Chen. Using the word rat crossing the street, could not even describe 1/10,000th of Lin Chen's reputation. On the 20th day after the incident, a third, even more terrifying news arrived at the sacred boundary. Gods had fallen. Saint King region, absolute heaven mountain peak. A large number of Saint Kings were in chaos for the first time. Lord Sun God's divine blood has returned to the true God's clone. His main body has fallen. Venerable En God's divine blood clone suddenly woke up. This can't be wrong. This is a sign of the true God's death. Rumor has it that only when an irreversible crisis occurs will the true God's divine blood return to the clone. The Saint Kings were shocked. There was no doubt that the gods had encountered a shocking change in their operation. The everlasting elder looked at the distant horizon as if he could see through the void. His gaze fell on the distant universe, in a vast and majestic relic, trying to see through something. In the end, his gaze could not penetrate the relic to see the truth, and he helplessly shook his head and sighed. The everlasting elder said loudly, "Everyone, there is only one thing we need to do now. No matter what happens, we must fight to the death. We must withstand the first wave of attacks from the demonic tribe. Let's go to the firmament star field." The sacred boundaries human tribe gathered all of their resources and headed to the extraterritorial battlefield in the firmament star field. This battle would be the human tribe's last battle. No one dared to hide anything, and all of their ultimate resources were brought out. In the extraterritorial battlefield, most of their combat power must be blocked. Otherwise, if they started fighting at the sacred boundary, it would be a devastating blow to the sacred boundary. Although the sacred boundary still had the gods' final trump card, the opponent this time was not to be underestimated. The trump card left by the gods must be one of the final trump cards. At the Dragon Palace, Jiang Taishu sat cross-legged in the void, pinching his fingers and silently opening his eyes. The human tribe's army has begun to move, and the top experts have already headed to the firmament star field. All of the battles will start in the extraterritorial battlefield. Jiang Taishu turned to look at Xiao Ling, and said seriously, "Has the Lord given the order?" Xiao Ling shook her head and said, "Not yet. The Lord's clone said that the number of sacred weapons is not enough, and the last part is still missing. Also, the other clone has not returned yet." Jiang Taishu frowned, stroking his goatee with his palm, and then said, "Then continue to wait. Without the Lord's order, no one is allowed to attack easily." One of Lin Chen's illusionary clones was teleported to the dragon world and followed the dragon race. His clone followed the dragon tribe's movement and clearly grasped their movements. He sent most of the Dragon King and Dragon Revered level experts. All of them upgraded their bloodlines, which were between strengthening +4 to strengthening +8. The Dragon King level strengthened their bloodlines to grade 8, and the benefits were even higher. Through this strengthening, Lin Chen also thoroughly understood the Dragon Tribe's lineup. The number of Dragon Kings in the entire Dragon Tribe exceeded 430. Every one of them was a Dragon King who had been silent for many centuries, including the group of Dragon Tribe elders and past great Dragon Kings who should have retired. The Dragon Tribe had a total of 540 people above the Saint King realm. Chapter 1817. The entire Dragon Clan mobilized. The desolate ancient Dragon Clan, primordial Dragon Clan, and so on added up to 540 Dragon Kings. The number was very astonishing, but compared to the human race, this lineup was absolutely not considered to have the upper hand. In terms of Sacred King realm combat power alone, the Sacred Boundaries humans outnumbered the Dragon realm. Although the Dragon race's bloodline talent was strong, the growth time similarly required more time compared to other races. Most importantly, the more powerful the existence, the more difficult it was to reproduce. The human race was like that, and the dragon race was even more so. The dragon race's advantage was just like the advantage of holy beasts. It was the strength of the physical body's pure strength, a protracted war. This was absolutely the most beneficial help to the human race. What the human race needed the most now was a big daddy who could persevere through a protracted war. In fact, the dragon race even pulled all of the divine dragon descendants onto the battlefield. Only after experiencing this level of war could their descendants truly grow up. Gentle tempering could never create a top-notch expert. When the powerhouses from all sides moved out, inside the immortal dawn ancient ruins, Lin Chen's mouth opened slightly, his eyes wide, dumbfounded. Inside the immortal dawn ancient ruins, tens of thousands of auspicious beasts showed harmless looks as they stared at Lin Chen. Lin Chen said in astonishment, "What's the situation, Qian? Didn't I say to only let you bring your family over?" "So these are all your family?" Lin Chen even subconsciously looked at Madame Bai. "Madam, you're so fertile." The beautiful woman rolled her eyes at him charmingly and said reproachfully, "Do you think that my dead man is as valiant as you? Everyone is here to seek refuge with you." The long-bearded old man in the lead smiled and said, "Your Excellency Lin Chen, we unanimously decided to seek refuge with you. You're our savior, and you don't covet our abilities. You've done us a great favor." The number of auspicious beasts here was at least one-third of the auspicious beast plane back then. One had to know, with their help, it was equivalent to letting a large number of destiny spirit plants produce supermassive amounts of cultivation resources. This would mean that Lin Chen could create a sea of powerhouses. This kind of temptation, virtually no one could possibly refuse. Lin Chen raised his brows and said with a smile that was not a smile, "Seek refuge with me? What the hell are you guys thinking? You're dreaming. I have no obligation to protect you. Go away. This is a good place that I found with great difficulty. Hurry up and leave. I don't keep idle people, and I don't need idle beasts either." The auspicious beasts all looked embarrassed. His Excellency Lin Chen is truly extraordinary. With their status as auspicious beasts, they would be coveted wherever they went. Not only did this human Lin Chen save them, but he even looked down on them. This caused many auspicious beasts to have an instinctive desire to fight. The long-bearded elder hurriedly said, "Your Excellency Lin Chen, we're willing to contribute our humble strength to you as long as you don't despise us. We've already discussed it. We'll follow Qian to follow you and establish a cooperative protection circle between humans and auspicious beasts. Isn't that wonderful?" Lin Chen's heart skipped a beat. He had taken the bait. Lin Chen pretended to sneer and said, "Beautiful? What a beautiful sight. You want to cooperate with me without taking any risks? What kind of crooked melons are you? Other creatures may cherish you, but I don't. If you want to rely on me, you have to show relative sincerity and take enough risks." The auspicious beasts looked at each other and discussed heatedly. A young auspicious beast tentatively said, "I wonder, how do you want us to cooperate?" Lin Chen said, straightforwardly, "Follow me to the sacred boundary. Behind the front line of the battlefield, help me cultivate a large number of provident spirit plants and provide enough resources for my alchemists. Otherwise, you'll fend for yourselves." The auspicious beast plane had been destroyed. Building a new auspicious beast plane was not something that could be done overnight. Without the protection of the auspicious beast plane, the auspicious beasts were a group of live targets. After thinking about it again and again, the long-bearded elder gritted his teeth. "Okay, this old man agrees. I'll follow you to the front line of the sacred boundary. However, please allow us to leave some of our young descendants here. Our bloodline needs to be passed on. I hope you can agree." "Done." Lin Chen's expression became solemn and fierce. "No problem." Inside the ancient ruins, on a mountain peak, the quiet and elegant Fairy Ning gazed at the young man. Her eyes seemed to be filled with autumn water as she softly called out, "You must come back." Lin Chen nodded with a mischievous smile. "Definitely. Next time we'll discuss some new positions. Oh no, new knowledge." The fairy chuckled and rolled her eyes at him. Lin Chen stepped on the dragon and took the auspicious beasts into the air, leaving the void. "Be careful on the way." Ning Qingxian quietly looked at his departing figure and softly muttered. The next day, sacred boundary. Lin Chun arrived at the Dragon Palace. Although he had stayed in the Immortal Dawn ancient ruins for a month, he was actually aware of all the changes in the sacred boundary. After all, his clones were active everywhere, sensing all the changes in the sacred boundary. The situation isn't optimistic. Lin Chun opened the system. The Ultimate Armor's charging card was still at the 99% position. It seemed like there was only one step left, but in fact the last bit of charging was the most difficult. Jiang Taishu descended into the void and asked curiously, "My lord, this is—" Lin Chun smiled. "They're all auspicious beasts. You can order them around. It just so happens that this time, our people snatched a lot of luck spirit plants. Give them all to them and send a group of people to protect them. They will be our most solid backing." Jiang Taishu sucked in a cold breath. Tens of thousands of auspicious beasts. His lord was truly terrifying. This number exceeded all the auspicious beasts recorded in the sacred boundary. Jiang Taishu received the order and said, "Yes." The next moment, the carefree flag behind Jiang Taishu danced crazily, constantly rumbling, as if it had sensed something. Jiang Taishu's gaze instantly became as sharp as a sword. He said seriously, "My lord, the demon race is already close to the battlefield outside. If nothing unexpected happens, they will arrive the next day." Lin Chun raised his eyebrows. "Oh, they're finally here." In Lin Chen's primordial spirit sea, he immediately sent a voice transmission to the servants. "Everyone, give the sacred artifact to my clones in the various regions as soon as possible." Zhou Tianxing's death imprint conveyed Lin Chen's message to all the servants. The saint's world was too vast. Not everyone had the spatial divine arts and spatial formations that Shaoling, and Zi Qianshou had. It would take some time for the servants to move back to Lin Chen's clones. "System, how many strengthening points do I have left?" Host still has 5103, 5 billion mid-level strengthening points left. Lin Chun had used nearly half of his strengthening points to strengthen the bloodline of the entire dragon race experts. "System, I want to strengthen the annihilation, star explosion cultivation technique. Continuous strengthening function, strengthening plus 13 orange tier top tier cultivation technique." Lin Chun had used more than 400 billion mid-level strengthening points to finally strengthen the orange tier top tier annihilation star explosion cultivation technique to the highest level, plus 17. Its power had increased by more than 4 times. Lin Chun moved to a secret realm in the Dragon Palace. Lin Chun opened his palm, and a clear jade that looked like a burning sun was floating in his palm. It was lifelike with thousands of fire dragons burning on it. This was Lin Chen's only remaining supreme-grade, fire-type, odd crystal. Ordinary methods in the outside world could not make him stronger at all. Only this supreme-grade odd crystal, if refined and absorbed, could give Lin Chun a slight increase in strength. Chapter 1818. Lin Chun opened his palm, and his Saint Acupoint lit up as a supreme-grade fire-type odd crystal entered his saint body. Rumble. Boom, boom, boom. The mountains and rivers trembled, and the sky changed color. In the sky of the mystic domain, clouds of fire condensed, and surging blazing waves quickly surged into the sky. If not for the experts of the sacred boundary coming out at this time, just this phenomenon alone would have alarmed many experts. Host is refined supreme-grade fire-type odd crystal. Obtain 182. 2 billion points, 152. 2 billion points, 123. 9 billion points. Lin Chun sighed secretly as he refined the fire-type odd crystal. "It's a pity that I don't have enough strengthening points. Otherwise, I could strengthen the ancient primordial dragon bloodline again." Lin Chun formed a hand seal and quickly absorbed the fire-type odd crystal. Extraterritorial battlefield, firmament star field. Human territory, star tower. Towering at the peak of the star field, the almost eternal star tower welcomed an unprecedented lineup of the human race today. This was the extraterritorial battlefield, an area where the human race and other races fought all year round. At the front of the Star Tower, on the mystic moon galaxy, every star was filled with experts of the human race. All the experts who were active in the extraterritorial battlefield all received news of the war and gathered together. The monster list was here, the hidden monsters were here, and the saint talent list was here too. The hidden saint kings were also out. This was the ultimate battle of the human race. Victory, defeat, life, and death, regardless of the gods. It was the common people. Some people were alive, but they had already decayed and died. Some people died, but they were immortal for eternity. But at this moment, all the experts of the human race were holding their breaths. They knew that there was still a highlight today. All the experts of the human race would gather here after the 9 races war. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Holy light fluctuated like dragons and snakes, and a storm swept across. Holy light filled the sky. Purple gas came from the east, and rays of moonlight illuminated the sky. 9 suns rose in the sky. The sea of fire spread, and the storm swallowed the sky. Countless rare phenomena descended upon the place. Outside the Star Tower, in the 4 directions, endless holy light mixed with divine intent descended on the extraterritorial battlefield. The morale of the experts was boosted. Here they come, the strongest experts of the sage monarch domain. The leader from the east was clad in golden armor and carried a golden halberd on his back. He was filled with righteousness and killing intent. His halberd was pointed diagonally at Gray Cloud's head. Number 1 on the Saint Talent list, Invincible Sheen. Walking side by side with him was actually a handsome and refined young master with 2 swords hanging from his waist. His long sleeves fluttered in the wind, and he wore a cloud-flowing crown and a Chelan robe. There was a stillness between his brows that did not match his handsome appearance. Only this one person seemed to have seen through the years. The second on the Saint Talent ranking, Gong Sun Bing. 1 sword cut through the sky. 1 sword shattered the river of stars. The 2 quasi-gods of the Saint Talent ranking stood side by side. When they arrived, the Star Pagoda shook, stunning countless experts. Chan Kong Yin Shin, who was ranked 3rd on the Saint Talent ranking, was also at the Reincarnation Saint realm. His hands were empty as he strolled through the starry skies. He was a young master dressed in elegant white robes, and his deep and serene eyes reflected a sharpness that could cut through the world. Behind the 3 legends of the Saint Talent ranking, there was a group of Saint Talents who stood proudly between heaven and earth. All the members of the Saint Talent ranking were present. Boom! In the south of the Star Pagoda, a beam of Saint light shone down, splitting heaven and earth. A group of supreme experts of all ages walked out of the light pillar. Led by the world-famous Long Tianchi, they appeared out of nowhere with 2 great quasi-gods in tow. Immediately after, another group of experts came from outside the Star Pagoda, stepping on billions of starlight. They walked over on the Star Pagoda, and their might shook the heavens. They were all saint kings. Some were handsome and carefree. Their saint acupoints shone with endless sonic booms, and with every move they made, an apocalyptic storm surged. Some were awe-inspiring. They wore 9 blazing suns, and each of them was like a sea of fire that covered the heavens and swallowed the 4 seas. Some were silent, and there seemed to be electric light between their brows. Electric light coiled around their bodies like silver snakes, and they were thunderous. Some were like shadows, as if they had been hidden in the void for tens of thousands of years. At a glance, one could faintly see endless spiritual storms that covered the stars and the moon. Some were domineering, and their auras could swallow the world. Their bodies were divided into yin and yang saint light, and there was a faint aura of life and death that could suppress the 4 seas. Some had the demeanor of an immortal, and there was absolute confidence in their wisdom that flashed past their brows, as if they had seen through all the saints and understood all things. Some were beautiful, and their slender figures were like graceful dancers in the clouds. It seemed that there was a profound mystery hidden in every melody. Some were elegant, and their temperaments were like that of an immortal that had descended. Their divine splendor scattered across the horizon, turning into clouds that floated in the air. Their peerless beauty revealed a beautiful killing intent. Some were heroic, and their vitality was like that of a dragon. Their saint bodies were illusory cheilants, azure dragons, and other primordial beasts. They stood upright, and their saint bodies seemed to have primordial beasts lurking. Some were hale and hardy, and they seemed to be ordinary elders, but their pupils contained boundless killing intent. They're back, they're all back. I can feel that they have the lineup from the War of the Nine Races. No, just the Saint King lineup alone might be even stronger than that. The morale of many experts in the Mystic Moon Galaxy was greatly boosted. Wong, wong, wong. Ripples appeared in space-time, and space seemed to be constantly bending, oppressing a vast divine might. Many people's pupils constricted. This was a miracle. In a god's relic, endless palaces stood, and the divine palaces filled the sky, soaring into the sky. At the peak of the divine palaces, 6 majestic figures appeared. They stood with their hands behind their backs, and they were so aloof that they didn't talk to any mortals. Their divine eyes looked straight at the galaxy. Their figures seemed to be tens of thousands of feet tall, and their gazes seemed to be close yet far away at the same time. At this moment, loud and clear divine music reverberated in everyone's ears. It was a song of praise that belonged only to the gods, a gift from the gods. When they saw the 6 figures, even the Saint Kings exclaimed in shock. The gods? The gods are personally protecting us. Ha ha ha. We will be invincible in this battle. With the gods watching over us, what bullish *T demon race? Destroy them. The morale of the human race skyrocketed, and the cheers of the human race could be heard everywhere under the starry sky. The Infinity Elder, who was standing with Long Tianchi, guessed, "Your Excellency Tianchi, if I'm not mistaken, I shouldn't have informed the true gods, right?" Long Tianchi nodded solemnly. Indeed, they seemed to, the Infinity Elder said bluntly, not their true bodies but their divine blood clones. Every divine blood clone still has the combat strength of a peak quasi-god. Although they are not at their peak, they are enough to look down on all the experts here. However, if they die next time, even their divine blood clones will be gone. Long Tianchi took a deep breath. It seems like the gods are planning to exhaust the demon race here first. The sacred boundary had 2 lines of defense. One was the Star Pagoda in the extraterritorial battlefield, which was protected by the divine power of the 5 elements true gods. The other was the Saint Monarch domain, which contained the killing moves left behind by the gods of the past. Even the Empress didn't dare to approach the Saint Monarch domain. Every race would hide a fatal killing move in their own territory, so they wouldn't act rashly in a war between races. Because even if their overall combat strength was greater than the number of enemies on the surface, they could be destroyed by attacking the enemy's base. Just like when the dragon race went to exterminate the insect race after the War of the Nine Races, so many divine dragons fell. Exterminating a race wasn't an easy task. The clones of the gods looked at each other. The 6 divine blood clones were the supreme beings of the sacred boundary. Yin God, Yang God, Wood God, Metal God, Wind God, and Thunder God. Of the 5 elements gods, Water God and Fire God hadn't died, and Earth God had died in the War of the Nine Races. The gods started a conversation unique to the true gods. Standing proudly in the illusion of the gods, the cold and aloof Yin God stroked the hair by his ear and said indifferently, "It seems that the final winners will be them." The unruly Yang God's handsome face showed a trace of self-mockery for the first time. "This time we lost. Our true bodies are destroyed, so it's extremely difficult to cultivate back to the god realm with divine blood clones." The stalwart Thunder God raised his eyebrows and said angrily and helplessly, "These 2 guys have other tricks up their sleeves. No wonder their origins were unknown back then. It turns out that they have something to do with the god realm." The handsome and mighty golden deity shook his head and laughed. We were played for a fool. We even helped them kill the martial god. How ironic. If we had kept the martial god here, we might have had a chance. The avatar of the wind god, a calm and carefree man, raised the pot and drank. He wiped the wine stains on the side of his mouth and smiled casually. According to the agreement we made, the loser must submit to the winner. If you agree to bet, you must accept defeat. The moment we returned to our clones, there was no possibility of a comeback. The agreement of the gods. There was an agreement between the gods. This agreement was related to the life and death of countless humans in the sacred boundary. It was also related to why the gods sealed the destiny of the human race back then. The demon race had been accumulating power for 10,000 years and erupted in one day. The demon race was hiding in the dark, plotting and manipulating from time to time. The dragon race was hiding and watching, enduring and accumulating power. How could the gods of the human race not expect this? This war was not a coincidence. It was only a coincidence that one person was involved. Perhaps all of this was inevitable. Countless layers of karma accumulated and finally erupted. No one could predict which side would be the final winner. Standing outside the star pagoda, the Wuji old man sighed. He seemed to have seen through layers of fog. His eyes were deep, but in the end, he couldn't see the final result. Next, it would be a multi-sided game, and it would be time to unveil the mystery layer by layer. Where would history lead? Chapter 1819. In the extraterritorial battlefield, all the human experts were gathered at the front line of the mystic moon galaxy. In the darkness under the starry sky, the shining stars were beautiful and majestic, scattered across the sky like stars on a chessboard. They seemed close yet far away. There was also that suffocating silence. Bang, 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 bang. She could even hear the sound of her nervous heartbeat. Whoosh, bang. The sky was pulled open, and a galaxy-like saber light fell. Another reclusive Saint King arrived, riding on the holy light as he sped over. He carried a saber on his back, casually facing a certain direction in the galaxy, nodding at a few familiar faces. After greeting them, he casually found his own position and waited quietly. All the experts only wanted to fight. The firmament star field, which should have been raging with countless storms and chaotic energy, became quieter and quieter. The quieter it was, the quieter the atmosphere among the countless human experts. The experts participating in the extraterritorial battlefield were basically Sage Level 7 star receiving realm and above. Everyone felt a formless pressure. It was like a raging wave that was continuously brewing, about to attack them and devour all living things. Bang! In the extraterritorial battlefield, a galaxy suddenly burst. Light shot in all directions, and a series of flashing auroras appeared in the sky. The experts below the quasi-god realm slightly shook their vision, as if the entire universe was distorted. A violent and piercing sense of danger enveloped all the experts below the Sage King realm. It's here, the demonic tribe army. The mighty demonic tribe army flew through the air, destroying small stars along the way. Tens of thousands of demonic tribe, led by various demonic tribe kings, formed armies and stepped into the extraterritorial battlefield. A Sage King's expression changed slightly, and he said in surprise and doubt, "There should be countless cosmic storms in the firmament star field. How can they advance so quickly?" "It's the demonic tribe's revered elders," the voidless old man said. "The top experts of the demonic tribe opened a path for them." Boom, boom, boom. The demonic tribe army approached and began to surge in all directions of the firmament star field. The demonic tribe had horns on their heads and scales on their bodies. They were either wrapped in murderous aura, with a human face and a demon body, or with a demon statue and a human face. They had different postures, but their appearance more or less retained the appearance of a human. As for the leading demon kings, their gazes were even further away. They gazed at the magnificent and majestic star domain and the towering star pagoda. They even hoped to pass through the distant void and set their sights on the sacred boundary. A large number of demon cultivators were filled with fighting spirit. This is the front line of the human territory. What a beautiful star field, full of opportunities and fortuitous encounters. In contrast, we have to build our own territories in those dangerous and terrifying star systems. Why should the human race occupy one of the best places in the divine river galaxy and enjoy the blessings of the universe, while we have to struggle at death's door in that extremely dangerous galaxy? Unfair. 2F** king unfair. This king will tear them apart, chew on the bones of saints, and drink their blood. 10,000 years of cultivation, experiencing life and death, all for today. This is a feud that will only end when one of us is dead. Roar, roar, roar. A large number of demonic kings let out enraged and crazed battle cries, some of which even shattered the stars. Its might was too strong, and it was like an unprecedented gale that was capable of destroying a region of stars as it smashed over. Just the first wave of confrontation gave off the feeling that the demon cultivator had the upper hand in terms of momentum. Stepping on the spinning starlight, the Wuji old man shouted angrily, "Everyone, prepare for battle. The enemy's first wave of attack will rush to the southwest, which is a feint. The real target is the second wave of attack. Beware of their backup plan. Their goal is to push the star pagoda and enter the sacred boundary." The number one fortune teller of the human race gave the first wave of changes and predictions. However, the next moment, the Wuji old man's pupil shrank. His gaze suddenly turned, and he looked up almost at the same time as the 6 true god avatars. In the void of space, a slender figure in a black robe stepped out of thin air. It was her, the Empress of the Demon Cultivator. She was the strongest as soon as she appeared. The Demon Cultivator was indeed unexpected. Even a number one fortune teller of the sacred boundary could not predict it immediately. The human race, it's time to pay the price. The Empress's cold voice spread throughout the sky, chilling to the bone. Fear shrouded every human's fighting spirit. Buzz, time, and space twisted, and her slender palms slowly pulled apart. Blood-red demonic light bloomed, and billions of demonic lights condensed into a blood-red machete. The machete looked as if it was made of blood jade. It was magnificent and clear, and the blade was curved like the moon, releasing a blood-red demonic light that could devour everything. Demonic blade, sky-slashing. When all the sage kings, saints, and quasi-gods of the human race saw that figure, they instantly felt as if they were facing a great enemy. Their saint hearts were being squeezed by a terrifying hand. Boom, boom, boom. The moment the Empress held the sky-slashing demonic blade, a devouring demonic aura enveloped the 9 heavens and 10 lands. It was released from the demonic blade, descending upon the star domain and looking down on the world. Everything was twisted into a vortex and crazily sucked into the blood moon-like blade. She took a step forward with the blade, and her power rose steadily. Bang, bang, bang. Countless stars collapsed and were crushed into powder by the demonic blade, forming clusters of nebula vortexes. What a terrifying blade. My saint body can't control it. This demonic power is enough to devour everything. The human masters at the front line swayed, and their bodies were unconsciously sucked in by the demonic blade. They were horrified. The star pagoda, which was shining with divine light a moment ago, turned into a boundless demonic prison in the next moment. This was the reason why the Empress didn't show her strength in the Hell Galaxy. If she was serious, all the living beings near her would be devoured by the demonic blade when she met with the demonic god king's remains and Lin Shun in the Hell Galaxy. The expressions of the gods' avatars changed slightly. She was stronger than that day. She showed her true strength as soon as she appeared. The Empress's peerless appearance made people's hearts palpitate. The Empress drew the demonic blade in her hand and slashed down at the star pagoda. The blood-red blade, Aura, which was curved like a moon, slashed down at a speed several times faster than the speed of light. It was aimed at the countless human masters and went straight for the star pagoda. Wherever the blade, Aura, passed, all the light rays were shattered and distorted, and the energy was absorbed, devoured, and annihilated into nothingness. This blade was even stronger than when she broke into the Saint prison. Before the blade Aura arrived, the blade Aura had already disintegrated the power of a human formation. All the human masters below the reincarnation Saint realm couldn't control their bodies and were all sucked in by the blood-red blade Aura. It was as if this blade was going to slaughter all the human heroes in the world. Just as the numerous human masters were about to fight back, 6 divine lights flashed across the starry sky. Blitz, thunder, heavenly punishment. Chang'e, breaking moon. Yin-yang domain. Summon the divine wind. The golden divine, sword condensed by divine power, soared into the sky. The power of heavenly punishment swept across like a thunder dragon. The yin and yang qi crossed the Milky Way and turned into a Tai divine diagram that swallowed the sun and the moon. The wind blades turned into the center of the storm and swept across the sky. The god's mighty power appeared and immediately cut off the demonic blade's power and demonic aura. The human masters were spared and immediately retreated. The avatars of the human gods finally made their move. Chapter 1820. In the extraterrestrial battlefield, the gods are attacking. We have 6 true gods. Where does the Empress get the confidence to fight us? All the experts roared in excitement. The gods' joint attack collided with the blood-red blade, Aura. The next moment, Chi. With a sizzling sound, the blood-red blade, Aura, flashed and distorted time and space, swallowing the gods' attack. The blade, Aura, attacked the gods. Bang, bang, bang. A series of earth-shattering explosions occurred. The gods' avatars were cut down by the demonic blade. They kept retreating. The gods' avatars were shattered. Holes and cracks appeared in the divine light around the gods' blood avatars. The 6 true gods' avatars were pushed back 3,000 miles. When they looked up, they were filled with disbelief. Although they existed in the world as avatars, they still had the combat power of 6 peak quasi-gods. Moreover, because he had mastered the great Tao after becoming a god, he was even stronger than Long Tianqi, a peak quasi-god who had yet to become a god. The effect of god-level experts working together was much greater than 1 + 1. But the Empress defeated them with 1 strike. She even injured their avatars. Thunder God's pupils constricted. What realm has this guy reached? She wasn't that strong back then. The Wind God said in a low voice. Could it be that she is also advanced while recovering from her injuries? The Yin God said coldly, now is not the time to discuss. Her attack is coming again. Without another word, the Empress slashed with the demonic blade again. The blood-red blade Aura cut through the night sky. All the light in the world was swallowed by the blade Aura, and they fell into eternal despair. The blade Aura flashed, and the stars collapsed. Time and space were distorted. The heavens were all withered and destroyed. The gods didn't even have time to regroup. The Empress's attacks were fiercer and fiercer. We have no choice. Use that move. The Sun God shouted. The Wood God and the Metal God formed hand seals, and the Star Pagoda shook violently. Buzz! The 5 elements' divine power rushed into the sky, and the 5-colored barrier formed by the 5 elements' divine power appeared outside the Star Pagoda for the first time. Clang! Bang! The blade Aura surged above the barrier. An endless demonic light overflowed. The Empress's attack was blocked. It's the 5 gods' barrier. Righteous gods. Many human experts who still had lingering fear in their hearts shouted the names of the gods. The 5 elements barrier was the final trump card the gods had left behind in the extraterritorial battlefield during their heyday. Only any true god among the five elements gods could activate it. It's not over yet. Demon Empress, try this. The golden deity shook his finger and mobilized his divine power. Combining the divine power of the five elements barrier and his own divine power, he formed a heaven-covering golden divine fist. His divine fist shook the universe, and heaven and earth were unstoppable. The Gungjin divine fist covered the stars, the moon, and the sky as it headed straight for the female monarch. You're finally using the five elements god's enchantment? Sure enough, it's exactly the same as what the ancestors said in their memories. The Water Empress sneered, but that's all there is to it. As if she didn't care about the deities at all, the Empress tilted her body slightly and drew her demonic blade. The blood-red saber light slashed out rapidly. Demonic energy swallowed the heavens and the earth, nibbling away all energy. He had actually shattered the Gung metal divine fist that had been condensed from the power of five gods. Bang! The Gungjin divine fist exploded and turned into countless fragments that fell down, reflecting the golden deity's shocked expression. This attack wasn't the power of a quasi-god, but the divine power of the five elements' true god at his peak. She had actually destroyed it so easily. Rumble. Clang, clang, clang. After shattering the Gungjin divine fist, the blood-red saber light, that was like a crescent moon, shook the colorful five elements barrier. All the human experts suddenly felt that the space was on the verge of collapse. The sonic boom came, and three figures appeared in front of the Star Pagoda. They were the top three on the Saint Talent list, led by Qin Wudi. Qin Wudi said in a low voice, "It's time for us to make a move. We also want to participate in the battle against the female monarch." The golden deity's clone shouted coldly, "Back off. You have no right to fight here." Just as he finished speaking, the Water Empress held the demonic blade in her hand and turned into a blood-red light that instantly crashed into the five elements barrier. Bang! The demonic blade slightly pierced through the barrier. The blade passed through the five elements barrier, and the divine light dimmed and dissipated. The expressions of the clones of the gods changed. Without giving the clones any time to react, the Water Empress suddenly grabbed the hilt of the blade, and the demonic blade that had pierced through the barrier spun. Rumble. Monstrous demonic light bloomed, absorbing all the light in the world and nibbling away at the five elements' divine power. Chi! Smack! Crack! Crack! The terrifying demonic aura rolled over, and many human experts were forced to retreat again and again. It was as if the Water Empress alone could suppress the current human race. The blood-red demonic light burst out from the tip of the blade and turned into a blood-red vortex. The spinning demonic saber caused a hole to appear in the five elements' divine power enchantment. When the five elements barrier cracked, the Water Empress seemed to have transformed into a blood-red light that shuttled through the sky and flashed past. "Even if we die, we must hold her back," the Wuji old man suddenly shouted coldly. The Wind God's clone, who was the fastest, had a sharp gaze. He stepped on the red divine wind and attacked the Water Empress. He held the hurricane blade and slashed across the void. The blood-red light exploded into countless afterimages. The Wind God's clone's expression changed slightly. So fast. Yin Yang Supreme, Divine Realm. The Yin and Yang gods' clones flew across the sky, and their Yin and Yang divine powers transformed into black and white dragons. In an instant, they formed a realm that enveloped the Water Empress. The Water Empress said coldly, "You overestimate yourself." Clang! The demonic blade slashed the Yin and Yang divine powers. The two clones were forced back. The other three clones wanted to intercept her, but the Water Empress's body was countless times faster than light. In a few flashes, she was like a star that leaped across the Star Pagoda. The Water Empress's target was the sacred boundary, the Sage Monarch Domain. Mystic Domain, Dragon Palace. A mountain of sage artifacts was placed in front of Lin Chun. He stretched out his hand, and light flowed. Host decomposes 6th grade sage artifacts. Host decomposes 5th grade sage artifacts. Lin Shen's primordial spirit power was constantly erasing the spiritual imprints on the sage artifacts. He needed to erase the spiritual imprints left by the previous owners of the artifacts one by one before he could decompose them. The system's decomposing function was extremely limited. It couldn't decompose an item that had an owner. This sea of sage artifacts were all stolen. Lin Shen needed them to be in an ownerless state. Of course, destroying these sage artifacts was also one of the fastest ways to obtain the essence of the set. However, destroying them would not give as many attributes as the decomposing. Lin Shen, who was lacking the essence of the set, couldn't use this method. Suddenly, Lin Shen, who was now at the primordial spirit realm, opened his eyes. Lin Shen and Jiang Taishu looked at each other. Lin Shen said solemnly, "She's here." "Yaoer, no." The demonic empress was here. Lin Shen could feel the killing intent she released when she revealed her true strength. Even though they were separated by an extraterritorial battlefield and many regions, Lin Shen, who was at the primordial spirit realm, could clearly feel her killing intent. It was directed at the sacred boundary. It was too shocking. It didn't seem like a killing intent that could be condensed by a single person. Lin Shen narrowed his eyes. No matter what, as long as the demons don't appear, I can't act rashly. It wasn't time for Lin Shen to make a move. He only had one chance to activate the Godslayer and God-defying talents. Chapter 1821. She wants to break into the sacred boundary of the Sage Monarch domain. We must stop her. The Wuji old man shouted. His prediction couldn't even keep up with the Empress's speed. She was too fast. Just as everyone was ready to fight to the death, four more demonic lights flashed through the cracks of the 5 elements barrier. Everyone of the human race, don't disturb our Empress. Your opponent is us. Golden God, I didn't expect you to have an avatar left. I wanted you to repay the sins of your bastard brother, but you really escaped a calamity. We didn't let the demon race personally judge your true body. The aura of the 4 figures was monstrous, like a super large universe storm descending on heaven and earth. They blocked the avatars of the gods, not giving them a chance to chase after the Empress. The avatars of the gods had solemn expressions. The Empress had already rushed to the sacred boundary, and no one could stop her. Long Tianqi stepped on the void and rushed over to the 4 demon race. 4 great, revered elders. Long Tianqi's eyes were wide open, and his tiger eyes seemed to be spewing flames of anger. Killing intent was brewing in his chest. The silver scorpion revered elder laughed sinisterly. Your 5 elements barrier has been broken. From now on, it will be our all-out war. The golden god avatar was so angry that he laughed. Then let's see who can last longer. The silver scorpion revered elder laughed sinisterly. Come on, try it. Rumble. The demon race army, which covered the stars and covered the moon, had already approached the star pagoda with an aura that could destroy the world. We must not let them cross the boundary. Persevere in this battle. We still have a chance. Don't worry about the Empress. That's not a level we can interfere with. Do what we have to do. We can only hope that the power of the Sage Monarch domain can pose a sufficient threat to her. Fight the demon race. Countless experts of the human race roared. Even though they had seen the terrifying battle strength of the Empress, none of the saints retreated. From the front line of the mystic moon galaxy, a large number of saints rushed out to meet the demon race army. From afar, it looked like a magnificent meteor shower, rushing toward the demon race army that filled the sky. The high priest in green armor shouted angrily, "Warriors of the demon race, fight! Don't underestimate the human race. Follow our great Empress and trample them." The first batch of people to fight against the human clan were the demon cultivator soldiers under the Empress. Following that, the devil cultivator soldiers of the 4 great elders rushed over from all directions. A storm swept through the entire Outerium battlefield, and a shocking slaughter instantly unfolded. Inside the five elements God-Force boundary, the three quasi-gods led by the avatars of the gods were fighting against the demon-human race's four revered elders. Outside the five elements divine power barrier, the human clan was led by the various reincarnation Saint Realm patriarchs, and led by the Saint Kings to attack the Devil Cultivator clan. In the Outer Realm battlefield, the battle instantly turned the sky upside down. Within the Star Pagoda, the Empress flashed over swiftly. Her speed was extraordinarily swift, and she was like a blood-colored divine light that tore through the boundless void as she arrived. The extraterritorial battlefield was half a galaxy away from the sacred boundary, but with the Empress' incredible speed, it only took her a dozen breaths to reach it. The human clan's sacred boundary, the beautiful eyes under the veil flickered slightly. The Empress frowned and said, "I seem to have been here before." Sacred boundary. Her mind swayed slightly, and the Empress seemed to be shaken. In her mind, a silver-robed figure flashed past. Just as the Empress was about to awaken some memories, an intense, throbbing pain came from her mind. Many snake-like hoarse voices were transmitted to the Empress through the demonic blade and attacked her consciousness. Kill! Kill! The human clan is full of evil. They are the ones who created us. They brought us hatred, anger, greed, disgust, and killing. The human clan must pay the price for this. The Empress figure paused, and she painfully covered her face under the veil. The pain spread throughout her body as if it was going to tear her apart. She gripped the demonic blade tightly and tried to suppress the memories in her mind. Every time she felt that she was about to awaken some missing memories, the will of the ancestors would always remind her to remember the hatred and humiliation of the human clan. She climbed to the top of the demon-human clan, not only relying on talent and experience, but also relying on the power passed down by the ancestors of the demon-human clan. Correspondingly, their hatred was also passed down. For thousands of years, the one who carried the power had to carry their eternal hatred. The demon-human clan was created by the human clan. The first batch of demon-human clan that was created was not only the strongest, but also the most talented, and Luo Yao, had inherited their bloodline. There was only one thing to do now, and that was to destroy the human clan. There is no need to be shaken. What we need to do now is to seek justice for the demon-human clan. There's only one last line of defense left. The beautiful snow under the veil was once again covered with ruthless coldness. The Empress opened her palm, and the Providence plant pouch shone brightly. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. More than 20 figures appeared beside the Empress for no reason. They were all Sage King-level human clan experts. No, to be more precise, they were the criminals imprisoned on the 19th level of the sacred prison. The criminals that the Empress had risked great danger to save back then. The Empress said coldly, "Now it's your turn to do things. Don't forget what my demon-human clan has given you. Most of you can become Sage Kings because of the treasures of my demon-human clan. If you dare to play tricks, you will die without a doubt." The criminals' pupils constricted, and fear and dread appeared in the depths of their eyes. They had seen with their own eyes how the Empress had broken through the Star Pagoda alone in the Providence plant pouch. Even if all the experts of the human clan gathered, they could not stop her. Peerless beauty, unparalleled in the world. The old man with the centipede scars on his face chuckled. "Don't worry, Your Majesty. Soldiers are trained for 1,000 days to be used for a moment. We're going to play a role at this moment, right? I hope Your Majesty will fulfill your promise. After we finish our task, Your Majesty will let us go." The criminals said submissively. They could be arrogant in front of the demon-human king, but in front of the Empress, they were just slightly stronger ants. "Then let's see if you can do what I ask of you." With a slap, the Empress sent the 24 criminals to the Sage Monarch domain. Almost in the blink of an eye, the Empress was millions of feet above the sage monarch domain. However, she did not rashly step into the sage monarch domain. Instead, she quietly and solemnly stared at the sage monarch domain. As expected, rumble, time and space trembled, and heaven and earth roared. Endless divine light crisscrossed, covering the stars and the moon as it surged out from the sage monarch domain. The divine light encompassed all things in the world and played out endless miracles. Under the veil, the Empress's beautiful eyes were filled with monstrous battle intent. Is it coming? The power of the gods. Why was the sage monarch domain the peak of the human clan's sacred boundary? Because when the sacred boundary was created, the sage monarch domain was the last land of the god civilization. The true gods of the human clan, whether they had fallen, ascended to the god realm, or were still alive, had all left their divine power in the sage monarch domain. With the sage monarch domain as the link, the sacred boundary was maintained. Later history would call it the myriad of gods. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.